So I was to have a special guest for tonight where we're going to discuss her politics and her view, or specifically why she supports President Trump. She's a Latino American, but unfortunately she's not able to make it, at least maybe not yet. Maybe she'll join a little bit later. And so I decided to just change the topic from Latinos for Trump to the immigration crisis in America, since there's a lot of updates happening right now. I'm going to be sharing some news footage and then we can just react to it. All right, guys. So I'm going to show you this video real quick here and let me know your thoughts. That's why I have the lights off, by the way, the ring light, because I want you guys to be able to get the visuals of the video best possible way. All right, let's try to listen to this. Let me put some volume on this here. If you're unable to hear it, let me know.
Each night, they rush to turn themselves in, group after group of asylum seekers crossing the Arizona border.
It's beautiful coming to a free country.
Giselle Palacio and her 3-year-old daughter came here from Cuba. Why did you come?
I want to be free. I want to buy some food, decent food for my girl, and work and get effort and progress. American dream, you know.
This area alone is seeing hundreds of asylum seekers each night. And in just the last year, there have been more than 300,000 illegal border crossings in the area around Yuma. That's 3 times the city's entire population of nearly 100,000. It's an all-time record. Is that sustainable?
It's not sustainable.
Douglas Nichols is Yuma's mayor.
I definitely do consider this a crisis. It's a situation where numbers are multiple times
for the
higher
year. This is
than
what the video
anywhere
says, okay?
else in history.
The only hospital here estimates that over 6 months, it's doled out $20 million in uncompensated medical care to migrants.
We have to stop that border flow. If you're going to have the borders open like they are, then there has to be a payment source for these individuals.
Officials here say they're not getting enough help from the federal government. Arizona's governor has spent $6 million to bring in these shipping containers to close gaps in the border fence. The state is also spending $83,000 per bus to send migrants to Washington, D.C.
Politics play a big role.
But aid volunteers like Fernando Quiroz say there is no chaos. There's anti-immigrant rhetoric in an election year.
None of these individuals are overrunning this city.
Still, he views it as humanity.
You know, it's funny that guy said that it's not a chaos and they're not overrunning the city. That video is from a year ago. Okay, and look where we are now, where in the video they were talking about 300,000 for the year, and now we're talking about 300,000 for the month of December, a record-breaking month. So that guy's delusional, clearly, but this is what happens, right? When we send the wrong message, we keep sending the wrong message, and those are the results that we have now a year later. But let's continue watching the video. As this guy here is, I wonder where he is now, this guy. I wish he was still there, but I haven't seen him in the news again. So let's see. Again, this is from a year ago. This is an old video, but just to, and then I'm going to play what's happening today. All right, let's let's finalize here.
There is no chaos. There's anti-immigrant rhetoric in an election year.
None of these individuals are overrunning this city.
Still, he views it as a humanitarian crisis.
We spent like 55 days coming here.
One that brought a desperate Giselle Palacio and her family to U.S. soil in search of a dream, enduring a nightmare. Local officials say they expect border crossings here to rise again over the next few months as temperatures cool. Thanks for watching our YouTube.
Wow, that was a year ago, guys. That was, yeah, about 12 months ago. And you see the media right there, right? Playing interviewing the mother with children, as usual, to play with the emotions and not showing the reality of what's happening at the border. So let's see now. This is from 1 day ago. Let's see the difference here.
Call your doorbell camera. Each day has been marked by new daily records of migrants both crossing the southern border and landing in custody. The federal government is struggling to keep up. 3 Homeland Security officials say Customs and Border Protection is holding about 27,000 migrants in processing facilities as of yesterday. President Biden spoke with Mexico's president about the issue earlier today. And NBC News Homeland Security correspondent Julia Ainsley joins me now to dig into this trend. So, Julia, first, just give us some perspective here. How is Customs and Border Protection operating right now, and what are your sources saying about this historic rise in migrants at the border?
Well, in some ways, there's actually a small victory here, Clay. When you look at the fact that CBP is seeing a record number of migrants, they've been at a record high now for 3 days in a row. They broke the record of 12,000, maintained that, and there are now almost 27,000 migrants in CBP custody. When we got to just about 20,000 in 2019 under the Trump administration, there were migrants who were there for weeks and couldn't lie down to sleep because they were so overcrowded. Now, because of the technology, they're actually able to not even hold people past 72 hours and very quickly release them. But the tragedy comes after that.
It's hilarious how the mainstream media can spin anything. You notice her tone, the way she said everything, right? Oh, under Trump, things were slow and they were struggling and they couldn't sleep well. Now, under Biden, the technology is so great. They're able to leave Border Patrol, so much faster. Like, that's great. Yeah. It's so unbelievable the way they spin everything, guys. Make it look in a positive light. That's so insane how the mainstream media continues to find a way to make Biden look good. That's just crazy to me. She didn't mention the gotaways. She didn't mention how they just pretty much catch them and release them because there's no proper vetting system for these individuals. But the way the mainstream media spins everything is amazing. But if it was Trump, it would be a totally different talking point. All right, let's see here. Another report. Again, I'm trying to get the reports from the last, either the last couple of days or at least the last week. All right, this is a local one. Let's see.
New data from the Border Patrol shows that nearly 200,000 migrants have crossed the U.S. border this month, while agents process along lines of migrants showing up to the border. And one of the hardest hit areas is Eagle Pass, Texas, and that's where we find Fox's Caroline Elliott with more on that. Caroline.
Well, Rashi, all week long, it's been large group after large group. And behind us, you can see hundreds, if not thousands, of migrants who just crossed this border waiting to be processed here at this port of entry. Now, we're seeing migrants come from all over the world. Some are showing up in families, but most of these are single adult men. Earlier this week, Border Patrol reported the high...
Finally, a news network that is sharing the actual truth. Most of these individuals are grown men. But we watched the other one this is a local news. This is Fox 26 Houston. So this is local news. It's not really mainstream media. But the one that we saw before, it was mainstream. I believe it was MSNBC. Try to find it again here. I think it was CBS or one of those. They were talking about mentioning Trump, how the Trump administration, it was taking longer to process them and they were having trouble sleeping. That was what the reporter was saying. That's what they were focusing on. But this is the reality. We have military-aged men entering the country and by the hundreds of thousands. And the mainstream media is not really highlighting this. And if they do, the videos is very just a couple of minutes of their reporting goes into it, and they don't really get into the details of what's really happening in there. You don't really see the reporters going in that area and interviewing these guys like other local news networks are doing. and focusing on this. But that's why I like to watch these local news networks, because they are more they're really more getting, they're giving us more of the proper information than the mainstream media channels are. Anyway, let's try to finish this video here. Let's see what else are they going to report on.
Thousands of migrants who just crossed this border waiting to be processed here at this port of entry. Now we're seeing migrants come from all over the world. Some are showing up in families, but most of these are single adult men. Earlier this week, Border Patrol reported the highest number of daily crossings on record. And since then, we've seen even more migrants show up. Border agents are struggling to process these large groups. Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez tells us in Eagle Pass, the CBP has more than 10,000 migrants in custody right now. Representative Gonzalez also tells us he visited the processing center in Eagle Pass today and says it's running 600% over capacity.
People are still coming, and there's more people in the pipeline. And I suspect Christmas will be worse than today, and New Year's will be worse than today. We're going the absolute wrong direction.
Representative Gonzalez tells us once these migrants are released from processing centers, it could take years before these immigration judges are able to take these cases. Rashi.
That is correct. It could take years for them to get that interview or that court case by immigration. And I believe in one case, I watched a report, and I'm going to be posting it on my page. An attorney went on an interview, and they showed the letter that his client got, and the date was 2032, I believe, about 8 years from now. 8 years from now is the appointment that this asylum seeker got. Crazy. Let me see if I can find another one here. Give me 1 second. Okay, this is the video that I was reporting on earlier today, and I'm going to highlight other parts of this one here. I think this is where they show the letter of the migrant getting the court date 8 years from now. Okay, let's listen.
It's a 5-alarm fire, according to Border Patrol agents, with sources telling Fox News Monday set a new record for daily migrant crossings, all as the total encounters in December, usually a quieter time at the border, expected to set another new monthly record.
The New York Post says the record numbers prove President Biden has waved the white flag and his administration is ignoring the laws and just letting everybody in. Bill Malugin is live at the border in Lukeville, Arizona for us. You've been seeing these large groups of mostly adult men cross all day, Bill. What exactly are you seeing there?
Well, Sandra, you can see over my shoulder we have another group of adult men who have crossed illegally here, and these border numbers are just spiraling out of control. In the month of December, we are currently averaging 10,000 migrant encounters every single day. This is the situation here in Lukeville. A lot of these adults coming in from all around the planet. Actually had a couple of guys from Afghanistan out here a little bit earlier. They are considered special interest aliens. They will be subject to additional vetting, but we'll show you how all these guys got here. Take a look at this footage we shot just a couple of hours ago. They were part of a group of 500 that crossed illegally early this morning through an open breach in the border wall cut by smugglers. They then marched up here to this outdoor Border Patrol processing area where we're standing right now. Some of them had their iPhones out. They were taking selfies, sending images back home to let folks know they had arrived here successfully in the United States, as this Tucson, Arizona sector just remains overwhelmed in the epicenter of this border crisis right now. More than 2,800 illegal crossings yesterday alone. We actually had a chance to catch up with some Indian guys who had crossed illegally, had a little chat with them. Take a listen. Where are you guys from? India. India. Everybody here from India? Yeah, India. Where do you guys want to go in the United States? What city?
California.
California? Yes. California? Everybody here, California? New Jersey, Seattle, New York. Okay, and why did you guys come here to the U.S.?
Sorry? English, no.
English?
No English.
Do you want to work?
Yeah.
You want a job?
No. Yes.
No? What? No? You don't want to work? Why'd you?
Life danger.
Life in danger. And then take a look at this. We talk about how backlogged the asylum.
Funny, right? Do you want to work? Yes, we do. And then no. Our life is in danger. And when I saw that, I was like, it couldn't be even more scripted. They know exactly what to say. They know the keywords to use in order to continue the process of entering the United States. And that's the problem, is that some have legitimate asylum cases, but most of them don't. And the scary part is that anybody can just enter using those keywords, using the system, and there's no proper vetting system for that. Let's see if I can get a couple of comments here. And then I'm going to continue playing that video because it's the part, then they're going to get into the section of the letter that this migrant got an appointment for January 23rd, 2031. Okay, so 8 years from now, but let's see. Okay, Rep said, send them all to corrupt blue states and cities. That's what actually they're going right now. Most of them are going to those cities, sanctuary cities. That's what they asked for, right? That's what they preached for decades. So they're getting what they wanted, although now they're crying about it. Let me see here. Woke said, prove they weren't paid actors. So we had to prove they weren't paid actors. Okay, that makes sense. Typical liberal, right? In denial as usual. As the country's falling apart, totally in denial. Jorge said, Fox News is like your brainwashed preacher. Yourself look like a Hispanic Cuban American. I am Hispanic. I am Latino American. But I'm an individual. And that's right. I am an American. Okay, so when I see that something is not right, I'm going to call it out. So, Jorge, too bad that bothers you, but I don't have an allegiance to anything or anyone but myself and my loved ones. Yeah, Jorge is just a typical liberal that wants all the Latinos and all the minorities to follow a certain train of thought. And that's the problem with individuals that can think outside of that prison / victim mentality that the left has placed on top of our communities. Well said. I'm Hispanic, going for Trump. Yeah. Well, Jorge says if you are doing that, you're in the wrong state of mind and you're being brainwashed. Okay, let's continue with the video here. I just want to read a couple of the comments. Okay, now let's get into the appointments, okay?
English, no. English? Do you want to work? Yeah. You want a job?
No. Yes.
No? What? No? You don't want to work? Why'd you?
Life danger.
Life in danger. And then take a look at this. We talk about how backlogged the asylum system is. This is a notice for a Colombian woman who crossed illegally and was released into the U.S. for her to check in with ICE in New York City. And look at the date, 2031, 8 years from now. I talked to her immigration attorney. He said
2031, 8 years from now. Imagine the amount of resources they can get 8 years from now. That's ridiculous, guys. That is crazy. Okay, now they're going to interview the attorney that shared this letter. The attorney himself was in shock, by the way. Okay, let's listen.
And then take a look at this. We talk about how backlogged the asylum system is. This is a notice for a Colombian woman who crossed illegally and was released into the U.S. for her to check in with ICE in New York City. And look at the date, 2031, 8 years from now. I talked to her immigration attorney. He says he was left absolutely stunned, and he's been doing this job for almost 30 years. Take a listen.
They gave her a return notice to come back in 2031. So that's quite possibly the most unusual thing I've ever seen in my near 3 decades of practicing immigration law. It made me realize that the Biden administration is basically providing backdoor amnesty for anyone that wants to show up at the border.
And John is here.
That's the attorney himself, the attorney of this migrant himself. He's in shock. He's never seen anything like this. 8 years. Incredible. What a shame, guys. What a shame. This country's being destroyed. And it's being destroyed on purpose. This is on purpose. Whatever their agenda is remains to be seen. But this is definitely by design. By design. And it's a shame and it's very sad. But wow. And I'm speechless. 8 years. So this person here, without being properly vetted, can be in America legally, in quotes, okay, legally, for 8 years. And then from there, their case starts. It's not that their case is, being proven or running. No, their actual case starts 8 years from now. And then to see, what other dates they're going to give them on top of that. It's crazy. Blum said the worst is yet to come. I believe so. Yeah, things are getting worse. Well said. Let me join. You can send a request. Let me see if I can send Adam up here. Where are you? Okay, I sent you an invite. I think Wow wants a couple of things here. Hello, sir. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing, man? This is Julio.
Oh, it's Who?
Yeah, man. How you doing, man?
How are you, Who?
Everything good?
I was reading you as Wow. I thought the H was silent there.
Yeah. How's it going?
Welcome back.
Yeah. I was looking at I have a friend who lives in Texas over there, and he says it's overwhelming about how many people he sees out there. And he says, something? I was just thinking about something about, whether we think maybe we should never say it's going to get worse. We should say it's going to get better because we said so. And I'm not saying that because I want all these people in there. I'm just saying that because we got to change our state of mind. You know what I mean? And I think that the Biden administration, like that gentleman George said, I'm in a bad state of mind because, I support Trump. I support Trump because I am not gonna be there and just take it and laying down that our country, it's such a wimpy country to let anybody in. You can't do that in any country. I don't care what, you name me the country that will let you just go in there and you're gonna go and you know how people talk about how bad America is. Now people are coming in and they're not doing anything. And the minute you do something, then, that's discrimination. You're discriminating now. Now we're racist. I said, we're a nation of different nations. We are a nation of different colors, different creeds, different religions. So how can we be racist? That's so stupid. That doesn't make sense.
Well, what Jorge was saying there, George, whatever his name is, what he was saying there is that you and I were wrong for supporting Trump because we were Latino specifically. That was his main problem. And so it goes back to the racism thing / race traitor thing that a lot of these liberals have and attack the minorities when they say they are conservative or they're supporting Trump. And they just go into that mode of you're a race traitor / Uncle Tom and all that talking point.
Uncle Tom. And Uncle Tom was kind of a good thing because Uncle Tom was a guy that actually hide slaves when they escaped the South. That's who Uncle Tom was. I don't know they misused the word Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was really the good guy. He was the guy that used to hide the slaves when they used to cross the border to go north, when they were like during the Civil War. And this is during the Harriet Tubman, when they had the Underground Railroad. And Uncle Tom was a safe haven. It was a safe haven before you go into the north. They hide them there, they feed them, they rest them, and then they push them to the north for freedom.
So in essence, you don't take it as an offense. You're like, you welcome that, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Good for you. I'm good. You want me to call Uncle Tom? Good for you. And
Right.
as for being Hispanic, I could be Hispanic, but I'm American. I'm an American. I was born and raised here. I served the military here. I bet my life here, and this is what I do, and I welcome people to come to my country. I'm not telling people not to come, but I don't like the idea of people coming to the country and then all of a sudden, when they get comfortable and live a little bit better than what they did in their country, all of a sudden they just down my country, right in my face. Oh, this country sucks. My country's so much better, and I'm like, how are you gonna sit there and tell me that? I'm not gonna go to your country.
I've heard that within my community a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. They get here like, oh, this country, it's all about work, 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 work. I'm a slave. I'm this and complaining. And I'm like, bro, you've been here for 2 years.
Yeah. You live better now than you did.
What are you talking about?
Hey, look, man, and that's what bothers me. It's not so much that you come here. I don't care if you come here, but don't come here and boast about your country when you're in this country, because once you're here, you're one of us. That's what, like America, you're married to us. You're our family now. You left your family, whatever it was. I'm not saying that you can't tell people where you're from. I'm just saying you can't come here and boast about. I'm not gonna go to. You're from Venezuela, right?
Venezuelan American, yes.
All right. I'm not gonna go to Venezuela, move into Venezuela, be there for 5 years. I'm doing better in Venezuela and go, oh, este no sirve Venezuela, una porquería, and I'm gonna fly an American flag. They'll kill me in a second. You know that, and I know that.
Unalive. Let's use unalive.
Yeah, or unalive. Yeah, they'll take me out in a minute. Like unalive. But you know something? That's the way it will work. We don't tolerate. It's not like to me as
And who that's Venezuela. What about if you do that in Iraq or Iran or any of those countries over there?
If you sneak into Iraq, you may not make it. You're not gonna make it. And it's not their fault. Listen to me. It's their country. I mean, you're allowed. I mean, they're borders for a reason. They're not borders because, or you could cross whenever you feel like it. People talk about, I'm talking about Americans. Americans are born and raised here, never been anywhere, never been out of the shores of the United States. But dare to tell me that, it's so much better to live in Switzerland because, they have a better health system, or they have, I said, you ever been there? Well, no, but that's what I heard. Oh, you heard? Oh, you heard. But you never been there. You have no idea how that works over there. So let me tell you how Switzerland works. I was in Switzerland. Great country, don't get me wrong, it's beautiful. But Switzerland is for Swiss. If you ain't Swiss, they ain't giving you nothing. That's just the way it is. If you ain't French, you can't go to France and just live the way you want. And Spain, if you live in Spain, if you move to Spain right now, you have 1 year to learn the language. And if you can't speak Spanish within 1 year, they'll ask you to leave. That's just the way it works. Now, we don't demand that here, but yet people get that freedom, and what they do is they abuse it, and then now they want to turn back and go, oh, my country is so much better. I'm like, no, it wasn't. That's why you're here. It wasn't better for you. I'm not saying that the country is bad. I'm just saying it wasn't better for you, for your individualism, like you. We are who we are as individuals. I only can go by my individual experience. I can't go by your experience, right?
But it's interesting you mentioned that, because there's this notion that a lot of them have, by the way, because I've spoken to even some of them, that they come here and I'm just here to work, man. I'm just going to work here for 2-3 years and I'm getting the hell out of here. I'm not living here. I'm going back to my country. So and that's where they keep that mentality. It's not like like you said right earlier. You come here, you're married to us. This is your house now, but a lot of them don't want to. They're just like, I'm just going to use this to get some money, buy myself something over there, and go back home.
No, well, I'm pretty cruel. I'm not cruel. I'm just upfront. Like I talk to a lot of South Americans, a lot of Central Americans, and I tell them, like, where you from? Oh, Guatemala, whatever. Like Chapin. I said, oh, está bueno. Tú eres Chapin and all that. But tú eres americano ahora. No, no. Yo soy. No, no, no. Tú no eres. Yeah, I'm sorry. You gave that up. You one of us. And they get, no, es que tú eres boricua. I'm like, it doesn't matter what I am. I'm not even, yo no soy boricua, yo soy New Rican because I was born in New York. I'm not from Puerto Rico. I'm not going to go to Puerto Rico and tell people in Puerto Rico, my family, how it feels to be in Puerto Rico if I never been there. I never lived there. I don't know. I mean, but New Ricans, and a lot of New Ricans, and I know if anybody New Ricans listening, you listen up right now. I can't stand when New Ricans want to make decisions for Puerto Rico. You don't know anything about Puerto Rico. That's why you live in New York. Oh, I go visit them. Visiting is not living. I lived in Puerto Rico. Believe me, it's a complete different story living in Puerto Rico and visiting Puerto Rico. Completely different, like night and day.
Now that you bring that up, I have a question for you since you talked, I'm guessing you know a lot of Puerto Ricans probably, right?
I do a lot.
Okay. So, by the way, guys, he's a veteran. He's a hero veteran, and thank you for your service. By the way, I believe Freedom also in the comments section. He says that he appreciates your service as well. Just FYI.
I'm no hero. I just figure, it was just my time, and I wish, I wish I could give more. You know what I mean?
To us, you are a hero, man. You're a veteran. All veterans are heroes in this country. Okay, that's my take. So I had a Puerto Rican American, I believe sometime last week or a couple of weeks ago, and she mentioned something. She works for the federal government, if I'm not mistaken. That's what she shared. And she said, well, so I'm Puerto Rican. I think she said I was born in Puerto Rico or something like that. So that makes me an American citizen. Unfortunately, she said, unfortunately. And I couldn't press her on it because she was speaking so fast and she was giving us a lot of information about, the topic was the immigration crisis and the benefits that migrants are getting. And I meant to ask her that, but we got, we had like a panel going and we went into like various subjects, breaking down the benefits and all that stuff. But that's sort of when she said that, it bothered me, but I didn't really get the chance to ask her. She dropped out of the call or the stream later on and I couldn't find her. I wanted to ask her why she meant or why she said that. And some Puerto Ricans that I've seen, not all, of course, but some have echoed this, and I've seen some videos on it on YouTube where they're like, "Oh, yeah, we are Americans, unfortunately." Why is there's this? Why is that some Puerto Ricans are not pro-Americans? Okay. Do you know?
It's all, it's, that bothers me a lot because I have a lot of family. I think the same way. Like, oh, but I'm not American. I'm Puerto Rican. I'm like, let me tell you something so you understand. People die to come here. They die. They're like, they literally will die to come here. Give it up. They do their thing, whatever it is. I said, Puerto Ricans are the only natural citizens of all groups in the United States. There's no other group in the United States that's a natural citizen. Did you know that? Hello?
I'm here. Sorry. Yeah, I didn't know that. Yep. What about Hawaiians?
No, Hawaiians. Well, Hawaiian became a state, but they wasn't citizens before that. See, the reason why Puerto Rico was when the citizens in 1917, when they gave the island back, the island was taken over. Puerto Rico was Puerto Rico for one day in September, one day. And then the Spanish gave it to the United States, and the United States, depending on who says it, the United States invaded them. Like they invaded them. I'm like, no, they didn't invade it. They were possession. Okay, they took possession of it. Puerto Rico. The reason why Puerto Rico was so important, because they could have took any island. They could have took Dominican Republic. They could have took Cuba. They could have took any of them islands, but they took Puerto Rico. The reason why they took Puerto Rico, because Puerto Rico was smack in the middle between North America and South America that faced Europe. Okay, so it was more like a defense, a naval defense, strategically. It was a strategically defense. When we came into the communication world, which we know with RCA and short, the short wave and all that, Puerto Rico had the highest antenna in the Western Hemisphere for communications. So that way we can get communications from Europe, we can get communications from South America and from North America. Without Puerto Rico, North and South America cannot be protected. Remember, this continent never ever been invaded, ever, never been invaded. They invade other, but never been invaded. There's never been a war here. People have no idea what it is, but people at war are a completely different attitude. I mean, Vietnam was, these guys were at war for 100 years. Like it was not like they were born into it. Yes, generations of it. You go into India. Some parts of India, same thing. Pakistan. Bangladesh. All these countries. In Africa. I mean, there's turnovers in Africa all the time, but people don't talk about it because it's not in their main interest or it's not in the news. You know what I mean? But all these countries, we've been protected all our lives. So we don't know what it is to be invaded. We don't know what it is to be at war, except the Civil War. You know what I mean? And that was pretty nasty. That was pretty nasty.
But you mentioned that even yourself, you have some family members that are saying, "Oh, like I don't want to be American." What's up with that? Well, why don't Puerto Ricans feel that way?
That is because in the 40s and the 50s, there was an uprise for independence of Puerto Rico. They were called the Independent Party, which is a very small party, by the way. It's a very small party. That you had the left, you had the nationalists, and then you had the ones that wanted Puerto Rico to remain whatever it was right now. It's his best interest if Puerto Rico, business-wise, kept as a commonwealth, because that way it can save a lot of tax dollars for companies that actually plant there, in Puerto Rico. So they save them tax dollars for 10 years, and then after 10 years they pull out, and then they change the corporation and go back in for another 10 years and not pay. But the problem with that was the employment in Puerto Rico was, if let's say you work for a company, you started for the first year, and then you have 10 years experience. So now you're making the same amount of money. Now you're making more money from 10 years ago. Then when this same company goes back, or similar company goes back, and they hire you because you have experience, but they're not going to pay you for the experience. They're gonna start you at bottom line again. So now here's a person who has 10 years experience that started over again. And that was a big problem in sense of employment. And that was a problem. But
this was back in the 40s, though, right? You said
40s. No, but it moved on. Even the 40s, the 50s, the 60s. I mean, I don't know about now. It's kind of changed because the laws changed a lot. But a lot of people kind of just didn't like that the way it was. I'm like, yeah, but that's because the government of Puerto Rico was getting corrupt by their own people. It wasn't like, like Puerto Rico was one of the governments that the United States have them run their own government. I mean, you still U.S. citizens, but we don't step in there. The United States doesn't step in Puerto Rican politics. Puerto Ricans have their own politics, and believe me, they're pretty corrupt.
So you blame it on Puerto Rico's politicians?
Leaderships, exactly.
Okay, so but how come the Puerto Rican community, though, well, again, not all, some, still feel this disdain towards America instead of their own politicians?
Because they blame that on them. They look, it's a blame game, like everybody, people that live in the United States, the same way they say, oh, the U.S. government is so bad, and oh yeah, they're gonna let you back. But when people talk about government, who are you talking about? Government is not a person. Government is not somebody you know that you can touch and feel. Government is a system that was generated and you were part of it. Now, unless you make decisions, it's like, when people use the word racist, right? Like the word makes me laugh when they say, "Oh, he's racist." I say, I could never be racist. I could be prejudiced, but I can't be racist. Because racist is an act or an action in which I stop you from pursuing your life. In other words, if you're looking for a job and I don't hire you because you're Venezuelan, that's racist. But if I don't like you because you're Venezuelan, that's prejudice. You understand what I mean? Because I have no control over your life. I have no control. I have control if I could stop you from something. That's racist. Now, in Puerto Rico, they have a lot of ups and downs. I mean, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm a New Yorican. I'm not from Puerto Rico, but because I go to Puerto Rico and they don't consider me Puerto Rican. Like they say, well, tú eres americano, tú eres de afuera. I said, okay. It doesn't bother me. I don't care. Like, oh, good for you. And then they get mad at me because I'm not proud to be Puerto Rican. I'm like, well, what do you want me to be? You want me to...
Right. Damn if you do, damn if you don't.
Yeah, you want me to be in or you don't want me to be in? I say, I don't get it. I love Puerto Rican culture. I mean, because, it's about culture. And, I love it because I like the culture. I like my people. I mean, and really head to head, I get along with most Puerto Ricans. You know what I mean?
So then the disdain is it only about what you said, the job situation with the corporations and stuff, or is it something else too?
Yeah, it's income. It's basically that, a lot of it. Because Puerto Rico got hit with a lot because Puerto Rico was set up where they can't buy and sell their own products. They got to send it out and then pay the import taxes coming back in. You know what I mean? And that could have been changed by the government of Puerto Rico if they would have gone to D.C. and actually put it down, but they never did. Because, the United States is all administrative. If you don't do the administrative, it's not going to get done. If you don't do the paperwork.
So, but I guess these Puerto Ricans, that section of them that are for them being independent, do they actually believe they will be better off without the U.S. government?
They do. They believe it, and I told them, really? And because I have family that, independentita, I said, really? And who's going to run it? You?
Just like that, huh?
Yeah, who's going to run it? You? You're going to run it? Where are you going to run it? What are you going to do? You're going to print it? Are you going to start it over again? You're going to have new money? What government would you put? What would be fair for you? You tell me. Because I want to know. Because, obviously, I don't think so because you don't have a shit to pot the shit in, but yet you want independence, but you don't know what you're talking about. You say you want to be like Cuba. You ever been to Cuba? Let me take you to Cuba. See how that works out. I'm gonna tell
they said they want to be like Cuba?
Yeah, exactly. Because,
why? Why would they want to be like Cuba?
I said, let me tell you something. Fidel Castro had the right idea. It's just he got corrupt when he got the power. You understand what I mean? He meant well because at the time Batista was really, really corrupt and really unfair, to the pueblo. You know what I mean? Didn't have hospitals, didn't have education, didn't have anything. I mean, at least Fidel, when he took it over, he educated everybody. I mean, if you were educatable. If you're not, he'll put you out with the common and you got to go, be on the farms and work and stuff like that, which is most of them, right? So, Cuba produces more doctors than anywhere in the world. You know that, right? Per capita. They produce more doctors than anywhere in the world. Unbelievable education. They have it. But they don't have the freedom. They're not going to make the money. You got to understand, everybody there, and this is not something that I read. This ain't nothing that they told me about. This is something I saw with my own eyeballs, right? My own eyes. They get...
And you share this information with that person, right? When they say they want to be like Cuba.
They know I'm not going to rat them out because I'm not part of the... They won't say that to their neighbors because, over there, anybody will rat you out in a minute. They'll come get you, put you in jail immediately, right? So it's like, no, like how much, how much do you get, And he told me, and it was equivalent to about $20 a month. Just for food, right? Now, have you been to the supermarket lately?
I don't really go. My wife's the one that does all that stuff. We usually do like online, but
Okay, all right, but if you go to a supermarket, you see, 3 lines of bread line. You see, rice. You see beans. You see, produce frozen. Meat. Tons of meat. You go to Cuba, man. Yo, dude, it was like 3 aisles. 3 aisles. It was like heart wrenching. They get sugar. They get it in a scoop. There is nothing digital. Everything is written down by chalk. Written down. This is now. I ain't talking about 20 years ago. I'm talking about right
that's
now.
crazy. That's 2023.
Right
What
now.
are you talking about right now?
I wish I had my friend is he married a Cuban lady, and he goes twice a year, and he tells me the stories, and I'm like, Danny, I mean, he goes, yo no sé, brother, que tú sabes. Yo fui un día para buscar mantequilla y me cogió 3 semanas para buscar la mantequilla.
I wonder if can you record inside the supermarket in Cuba or no?
No, he took pictures. I lost the
Oh,
pictures.
he took
I had
pictures.
another phone. I had the pic. I wish I had them. I would send them to you in a minute. It's like, yo, dude, 3 aisles. I'm like, I gotta see this myself. It's like, let me go. You go, right? You go over there, like, I mean, the hotels wasn't bad. I mean, they wasn't like, but the hotels only for, the tourists, of course. You know what I mean? When you're tourists, you're not gonna see that, because the tourists ain't out there to look for people. You know what I mean? They're not part of it.
So, by the way, who, if you can answer this question here, Lou is in the comment section. She said, "Is it true Puerto Ricans depend on 50% in public assistance?"
Because Puerto Rico is not a state, it doesn't have public assistance. Puerto Rico, it has federal programs, which is the biggest one is food stamps. But they do depend on it a lot because unemployment rate is like 40% in Puerto Rico. It's not like, people are working, but what I can give Puerto Rico strives on its own, man. You ain't starving in Puerto Rico, bro. I swear to God.
But why would I'm still not getting why they would want to break apart from the United States? Is it that they're not getting enough assistance? What's going on there?
Because they feel there's something better. I mean, when you're living in a country that is not third world, but it seems that way sometimes compared to what the United States is. And you got to remember this too. A lot of Puerto Ricans have family in the United States. So now it all depends on, okay, you're para Estados Unidos, and they come here and then they see, okay, it's not glamorous, like it's not like, it ain't tropical, but you have a lot more stuff to get into, right? So some of them come here and they'll go ride the public assistance because that's what they were taught. Oh no, tú tienes que buscar esto, ven acá que te voy a ayudar. Vamos a buscar, si tienes que buscar ese tito.
Because you mentioned that around 40% are unemployed, correct? Back in Puerto Rico.
A lot, maybe more. I don't know. I'm just saying a lot is a lot. And Puerto Ricans work. They work their asses off if you put them to work. But they don't pay. Look, the minimum wage in Puerto Rico is $9.15 an hour. Did you know that?
$9.15
an hour. That's minimum wage. Minimum wage over here is $15 an hour. Minimum wage in Puerto Rico, it's $9.15, and the inflation in Puerto Rico is higher than here. So, it doesn't jive because people are kind of like underneath it. A nurse in Puerto Rico will make maybe $35,000 a year compared to a nurse here, an RN, a registered nurse. And I'm talking about with the same credentials, the same education, matter of fact, Puerto Rican nurses probably have more experience and they get less money. The teachers make less money. The engineers, doctors, if a doctor makes $75,000 a year in Puerto Rico, you're making a lot of money. This is the United States. We're not talking about a foreign country here. We're talking about, this is it. This is what you see. This is what you see. Because most doctors in Puerto Rico don't stay in Puerto Rico. They'll leave because there's no money. I mean, so, they produce a lot of doctors, but they don't stay there. You know what I mean? They produce a lot of engineers, but they don't stay there because the profession world will leave because the United States will pay them a lot more money.
So I just want to add this. I was, as you were saying that, I was looking it up. So this is for trading economics. Okay. What is Puerto Rico unemployment rate 2023? That's per Google on the search, and the Trading Economics has these answers. So unemployment rate in Puerto Rico decreased to 5.5% in October from 5.6% in September of 2023. Unemployment rate in Puerto Rico averaged 14.25% from 1976 until 2023, reaching an all-time high of 25.30% in January of 1983 and a record low of 5.5% in October of 2023. So it's actually not that bad then.
No, it's bad. It's bad. It's like it's not. It's like right now, inflation rate in this country, according to what I read, right, 3.2. Now, come on, man. we live through essentials. I don't live through what the economists say. I'm talking about through why I live and what you live, right? Now, you mean to tell me that your food only went up 3%, or your insurance only went up 3%? Or your essentials, like, your cable, your essentials that you need to live went up 3%. Me and you know that's not true. So when they sit there and give me the formula of what it is, we know it's not even close. If you live in Puerto Rico, you'll see what I mean. I can't explain it to you because it's a lot worse than what it is. Because in Puerto Rico, a lot of people that work, first, they're not on the books. They're not even play on the books. Why on the books, right? A lot of people.
Hold on. I want to add to that point because you actually, you're right what you're saying. So this one per cbpp.org, it's saying here the expansions are critically important for Puerto Rico, which has among the highest poverty rates in the country, 44% for its general population, and an even higher 57% for children.
Bad is bad. But you know something? I got to give Puerto Rico and most Latin countries, even in Venezuela, which, Venezuela kind of like went from really, really, great to like really, really bad, like in a matter of 10 years, which is crazy, right? One thing I got to say about Latinos, and I never seen it anywhere else, they're the only ones that will have a good time anyway. We don't care. That bullshit. We're gonna live tomorrow. Unfortunately, that's not the way to be, but that's just the way they are. You go to Puerto Rico, people are still they still gonna go. They fiestar. They still like to to celebrate. Celebrate life. No matter how bad it is, no matter how bad enduring it is, the culture will not let you fall down. You understand what I mean? It just won't let you fall down. Puerto Rico is very strong culture. Just like most Latino cultures are very, very strong. So if they have to, they'll work. And you know what it is that if you get 100 people and 10 of them are lazy bums and they don't want to work, people are going to talk about the 10%. They're not going to talk about the 90% that bust their ass. So guess who's going to get the bad rap? The 90%. Because the 10% don't care, right? The 10%, I don't care.
So you blame this poverty rate on the Puerto Rican politicians then?
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt.
What do you think they could do better? And then I have follow-up questions from Freedom. Go ahead.
I think in Puerto Rico, they have to monitor what these politicians do, which they don't. They trust them. In other words, they get a lot of federal funding. You know that, right? And the federal funding is not regulated at all. They just give it to them, let them regulate it. And then you're going to give it to them. It's like me giving the money to a thief. Yeah, here's the money. And, okay, you go take care of you. Don't worry, give me the money. I'll take care of my people. And
so is it one of those things where like they said, oh yeah, we're building this new road and the road cost maybe $1 million, but they on the budget it says it costs $5 million kind of thing.
Exactly. And then they'll get funded for it and nothing gets done. I mean, they do a few things, but I mean, look, I'll give you an example. You ever been to Vieques, Puerto Rico?
No.
Okay. Vieques, Puerto Rico is a little island right off of Puerto Rico. It's right off of Fajardo and Ceiba, right? Aguabo, right? This island is 17 miles long. That's where I lived at, and 3 miles wide. It's a beautiful island. It's a beautiful. That island was what you call target practice for the Navy for many, many years. A lot of years. I was stationed there, you know, my last couple of years, you know, in the military. I was an MP at Camp Garcia, which was, you know, the place with the training. It was like, you know, the money, what you call it, the maneuvers. And the Navy and the Marine Corps used that as training grounds. They bombed it. There was a lot, you know, like, and they fought for it for them to stop bombing because they were destroying the corals, that beautiful corals over there, you know, on that side of the island. I don't know if you ever been to Vieques, but it's a beautiful place. And through all that, a lot of shells didn't explode, so you had a lot of shells that were still there, and people, you know, tripping them, and they were getting blown up, and you know, 2 or 3 people, and you know, people were getting hurt. So that gave the Navy the idea, okay, we're not doing this no more. So they pushed back. So they pushed back, they stopped bombing. Okay, so they stopped bombing. Now they had to do the cleanup. They do the cleanup, and they started doing the cleanup. And in between all that cleanup, of course, you know, some of them did explode, stuff like. I was there during that time when they were doing the cleanup, because I was the MP, and we had to patrol those shores, so we know what happened. We didn't have a lot of cases of that, but when you get one case, they work on that case for forever. You know, like, so it seems like everybody's getting blown up. So and then the case came out where a lot of people had cancer. Right? You know, like, well, you know, maybe it was, you know, it was the island, it was cancer and all that. And I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know if it was the bombing. I mean, the drinking and the drugs don't help. You know, like me being funny, right? I'm trying to be, hey, you know, drinking and drugging that. And to be honest with you, I never saw young people die. I mean, there was old people dying. So they were pretty old for all the stuff that was going on. I'm not saying that they didn't affect it. They probably did. I mean, with the bombing and all that stuff. But to blame it all on the United States, no, that was a political move. We know that. Whether Puerto Rico is better off independent, no. Puerto Rico, if it goes independent, it'll be swallowed up by somebody else.
So then pretty much it's just maybe the community that's supporting that independence is just perhaps not well informed of the consequences that would bring to Puerto Rico.
Or they exaggerate what happens in things, you know, in their, because they exaggerate. Exaggeration is, you know, one of the key things when you say things, you know, like, oh, it's so bad. It is horrible. Yeah, okay. I mean, some of it is horrible.
And maybe it's this sort of also anger towards what they believe it's colonism, correct?
Yeah, exact colonism. You know, oh, yeah, we're colonized, and the gringos are doing this, and I start laughing. Like,
right, is anti-American sort of
it's
train of thought.
It's the same slander you'll get on any group. You know, right now.
But yeah, we get a lot of those here, right? Oh, you know, colonist Americans, they're the ones that to blame for South America's demise and Central America's demise.
It's like every demise is like. I remember when I was in college, there was a Dominican. It was the Dominican organization, Dominican Republic, and the Dominicans just started coming here. I mean, I remember when they first started. It was like, you know, I figured the late '70s and the early '80s. You know, that's when they started coming. And in the middle of that, I was at maybe my 3rd year, and they were protesting about the United States. So, you know, I don't know. I woke up and I'm like, what the hell are you protesting about, bro? They're like, oh, no, because Estados Unidos, they're doing this to us, they're manipulating us. What are you talking about? They have nothing to do with the Dominican Republic. You know, that's your government is doing that. No, tú no entiendes, coño, compadre, tú sabes esa vaina, dime que lo que hay. I said, Papa, listen to me. Live your life, man. Make money, live happy, do your thing, man. It's like, this is the only place you're going to get opportunity to do that. This country is great for that. This country, you don't have to speak the language. You don't have to be educated. You can even be an illegal alien and still become a millionaire. You give me one country that will give you that opportunity. No country will give you that opportunity.
Only in America.
Only here, baby. Only here.
Who Freedom has a question for you. So inflation is so high. Inflation is high. So what's the rent or housing? Is it costing less at least there? And he means Puerto Rico.
You like for what? For housing?
Yes.
Depending on where. Like if metropolitan, very expensive. If you out in the country, it's not as expensive, but food is still very expensive. Food is expensive out there. So it's like
Got it. So he says, do you think if Puerto Rico became another state, it could improve or would it keep spiraling?
It'll spiral for a little bit until they get used to it. Remember, if it becomes a statehood, that means taxes go up. They don't have that many. The taxes there are not that high. They're very low. They're like maybe 1%. So if they was to make it a statehood, then the taxes could drown them for a little bit until they get used to it. Because remember, the rates got to come up.
Do you think that could make them thrive, though?
It could make them thrive, but it won't be this generation. It'll be the next generation.
I see. Okay, so Freedom says, why do you think they don't become a state? Is it pride or greed?
That's a political. It is a political decision. Congress or I say Washington gives them an opportunity to vote and ask them, do they want to be a state? Okay, even if they vote to be a statehood, they still got to fight the American businessmen here that don't want it to be a statehood, because if it becomes a statehood, then their taxes go up. You understand? Remember, they can set up a business there. You can set up a corporation there and live in Puerto Rico for 6 months right now. I'm sorry. Clear my throat here. You can have a corporation, right? And live in Puerto Rico for 6 months and pay zero taxes. And you can't do that if it's a statehood. You understand what I mean? So if it becomes...
I get you.
Yeah, it becomes a complete... So there's a fight there. And it has nothing to do with being American, and nothing to do with being white or anything like that. Business people make decisions in this country. But what's good about Puerto Rico, the two things are good about Puerto Rico. You can leave whenever you want. You don't need a passport. You don't need a permission. You can just fly out if you want. You can fly in if you want, right? And the second thing is you're always a U.S. citizen. You're a natural citizen. So any advantages that you have as an American, you have it there. You also have it here. Okay? So any group in this country, I don't care what group it is. You tell me, you name a group. British, Irish, Italian, Mexican. We're Americans. Yeah, you're American because you're born here. But if you're born in Italy, you're not an American. If you're born in Mexico, you're not an American. If you're born in Scotland, you're not an American. Okay, you're born here, but in Puerto Rico, if you're born in Puerto Rico, you're still an American. And if you're born here, you're an American. So they become like a natural citizen, and they can take advantage of it, but a lot of people are not educated enough to know how to do that. You understand? So it's not that the education is bad, because matter of fact, Puerto Rico has very good education. If you really look at their university levels and the type of curriculums they have, they're really, really bright. There's a lot of bright people that live in Puerto Rico.
So then that makes sense, because, and that's where I was confused when it comes to this subject, because we're seeing all of these individuals coming through the border, right? Wanted to come to America. And you have Puerto Ricans that have, like you said, they are Americans already. Like as soon as they're born, they're Americans, and they have easy access to enter America. So I'm like, why wouldn't they want that? Everybody's trying to come here. They could just show up whenever they want. But like you said, maybe they're just not educated on that sense, at least a good portion of them.
It's pride, culture. Culture is everything. They have tradition. Remember, Puerto Rico never broke their tradition. They even though they're Americans, they still keep the language. They still keep the culture.
No, but I mean, like, as far as educated in the sense of, do they know the opportunities that exist here?
Okay, it could be, and this is what my experience as an employee. I was a recruiter, so like I try to bring medical people over there from here, and a lot of it was fear. They were just afraid of the change. They thought it was like a big difference between Puerto Rico and here. There is in the sense of living, but in the sense of opportunity and taking advantage of it, it's the same, but they don't know that because of the language. There's people in Puerto. By the way, if you go to high school,
So they don't teach you English over there, like,
they do. Yeah, matter of fact,
but did they make you speak it, or?
no, they you read it, you write it. A lot of them can read and write it very well, but they can't speak it. No practice. If you go to college, everything in college is all English. Their books are in English. They're not in Spanish. Now you don't have
In Puerto Rico?
in Puerto Rico, yes. If you go to University of
Interesting.
Puerto Rico, your books are in English. They're not in Spanish. So it's like, but the
So you
professor,
do have to know English by the time you get to college.
yes, you do. Yes, you do.
So they have the best as far as education goes. They can speak English by the time they're grown ups, and then they can come here, right?
They get embarrassed.
Whenever they want.
They get embarrassed. They're embarrassed. It's like, no, que no hablo español bien. I say, it doesn't matter. You practice, man. Just practice it. That's all you got to do. You practice it. No, que tú sabes. They feel comfortable. Now that you're comfortable in Puerto Rico, you're going to learn how to live in Puerto Rico. And then, I was very critical about Puerto Ricans that came here in the 40s and the 50s, right? Because I really didn't know. But what they did was very brave. To come here and not know the language, not know the culture, and still come here and survive, and still raise your family, and still be here, and still do what you have to do, that takes a lot of courage, a lot. So I give them a lot of credit. So it doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means that people get comfortable, even in Puerto Rico. You know what I mean? It's like they want to be. They want it, the cake and eat it too. You know what I mean? It's like they don't know what they have until it's taken away. And
Right. It's taking it for granted, as Lou mentioned in the comment section. I want to welcome New Jack to the panel here. Go ahead.
Vic, I'll give you credit, right? Because I am an American of African descent, right? And I agree with what you say in terms of, like, we could call out people that look like us, straight up, right? My wife is a first generation immigrant, right? That came in, right? And went through the process, right? And feels very much like you do, but you're villainized for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you talk about, like, all the African, I'm probably changing the shit, but you talk about all those fighting age men from them African countries coming here, being dropped off, right? You know what I mean? That is a point of concern, just like your point of concern is. But because you believe in the idea of America, right? Because you've grasped this and you realize that, hey, we're not perfect, right? But we're working on it. It's something that we need to keep working on without interference from fucking bullshit. You're villainized for it. Exactly. So I just wanted to come up and show my support for you, brother. You know what I mean? I just wanted to show my support for you.
I give.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I give people like yourself and your wife and everybody out there a lot of credit. I mean, like I said, like I don't know where people came from, but I always thought I had it bad until I went overseas. And I went overseas and I learned that I was always blessed. I just didn't know it. I just didn't know it. My kudos to you and your wife, and even a lot of Africans I know come from Ghana and come from Ivory Coast and come from Saragon, and they come from the Congo, and they come to the United States and they put it together. It's not like, oh, I'm black, but I can't make it because I heard that you won't get an opportunity. Hey, I know plenty Africans that moved into Harlem when everybody else was black. They started there. 5, 6 years later, they bought themselves a house, they got themselves a business, and they moved on. So my friends that grew up here, black Americans that grew up with me, telling me, oh, there's no shot. Well, really? There's no shot? How about your neighbor, the one that came from synagogue? The guy has 3 businesses. The guy has 2 houses. What's his excuse? He was black like you. He had the same
So
thing.
the whole
So
thing, yeah, it boiled down to this, man, right? Things like racism and prejudice will never leave, right?
never
That's
ever.
just a part of it, right?
Yeah.
But how you navigate that, right? What you get caught up on determines on how far that shit's going to hold you back. It really is. Life is not fair, and it
No,
never will be. The only
it never.
time that life becomes fair is when we feel pain, right?
Exactly.
And then everybody want to work together. But not to mention that, like, when I hear a lot of Americans talking this shit, you know what I mean? Because I'm an American, man, like fucking 11th generation. Or when I hear a lot of Americans talking this shit about, like, fucking, oh, you know, this and that, systematic racism and shit like that, not realizing that people that immigrate here properly, or people that get into this nation, you know, correctively, are coming from fucking nations that are fucking, like, hardcore, run down, you know what I mean, broken off by, like, shit like neo-colonialism, you know what I mean, and fucking imperialism, but can come here and see past that and understand what we've got to offer here and succeed. I give a lot of people no pass based off of that. I've
When it comes
been
like that,
around the world.
I'm
I've been
So
telling
New
around.
Jack, but what's your take on, let's say, like I've got, a lot of people that tend to attack me on this from the left, obviously, typical, that they say you're a race traitor. How can you say that? You're Latino. You look Hispanic. How can you be supporting Trump, or how can you be against migrants coming across the border? Why do you think that they have that, that victim mentality where, racism is going to hold you down because of your race, because of your skin color, and that color people, they all have to think the same way. They can't have a difference of opinion. What's your take on that?
So my take on that is this, right? Humanity is a competition. It always has been, right? Pick a side, any side. You're gonna compete against somebody else, right? So if you're not willing to compete, like the revolutionary, all he does or she does is sit back and complains. Oh, you know, this and that. Nobody owes you anything. You owe it to yourself to continue to strive and to get up over the obstacle before you, right? That's life. That is life. You know what I mean? So when people call you that, you take it with stride, because apparently you've learned how to circumnavigate that shit and get what you wanted to. And that has been the history of man and woman on earth, mankind in general. Oh shit, a hard time came. Only the strong survive, right? So America is offering us a position, right, to get to a point. Not saying that it's perfect. Not saying that it's perfect, but I'm saying that if you don't see the opportunity, especially right now, that, hey, look, you can maneuver yourself into a position to where you can become rich or comfortable in life. If you negate that and always want to, blame people that are actually maneuvering that shit, like yourself, Vega, you know what I mean? If that's what they want to do, then they're gonna remain there. We're gonna keep climbing, bro.
I agree, and thank you for sharing that. But it's like I had this other guest the other day, and he was like, "Well, Vega, the thing is that you're the exception, because you haven't. You said that you haven't experienced racism from a white person, and that's what he was saying. And you're the exception, or perhaps you did go and experience racism, but you didn't even notice, like." You like sort of telling me that I have to focus on that, on looking for racism everywhere I go to be able to notice it.
Right. So the part that he missed was that maybe you did experience racism, but you weren't about to be beat by that racism. You were about to outmaneuver that racism, right? That's the part that they always miss. Oh, racism. So you're complaining about it. So outmaneuver it. And that's all they're saying is, like, people that are stuck right there. It's just like, well, you don't know how to move beyond that point. You don't know how to use your brains, your noodles to fucking outmaneuver it, get yourself into a position to whereas, you know what, next level. Don't let nobody ever shoot you down for being able to fucking outmaneuver that shit, man. Ever. I'm an American descendant of slavery. You know what I mean? My folks have been through a lot of shit here and shit. You know what I mean? And that's not a crutch for me. I look at that shit as a strength factor, knowing that my ancestors went through some of the harshest times, and I'm still here. For me to sit back and to complain about, well, you're a sellout because you're not calling out, motherfucker, please. I'm not gonna beat the drum in the street. We're moving. You know what I mean? This is a competition, right? Get in where you fit in, or don't get in at all. No, don't let him tear you down on that. Never.
Absolutely. I mean, I brush it off, but I just find that like every time I encounter, someone that comes on the live or the comment section, and I'm like, I don't get this victim mentality thing. I really don't get it. Like, you must be almost living in fear every single day, going out there and like trying to pinpoint racism. Oh, that was racist, I think, or like, I think this other person said, well, I went to the supermarket and I already felt they were looking at me weird. I said, well, maybe that's what you were looking for, or maybe they weren't even looking at you and you were just looking for that because you grew up with that mentality. And I think he even said, well, yeah, my parents gave me that sort of, to be careful everywhere I go. And maybe, I don't know, maybe it comes from what they teach you when you're a kid.
Here's the thing, right? My wife is Southeast Asian. I'm a black man and an American that's a black, right? So we go over to Southeast Asia. The people stare at us all day, right? They stare at me in particularly, right? But are they staring at me because, oh my God, they don't like me? No, they're staring at me because, damn, look at that motherfucker right there. He's different, right? You know what I mean? And a lot of the times that's what it is. You know what I mean?
Or maybe he was even wearing something nice.
Yeah.
And people were like, wow, look at that jacket. But because of his skin color, he automatically assumed, they don't like me because I'm black or I'm brown.
Right. No, so they're genuinely curious and people are gonna, you know what I mean, look at you and shit. But people have this fucking this ideal about America that, you know what I mean, it's all fair, it's all good. No, it's still a competition in America. In fact, this is the major competition. Exactly. You know what I mean? Exactly. This is the major competition, right?
He's right. You're right. You're right, my brother. You're right.
He's absolutely right. Welcome, Finger, to the panel. He has a funny nickname. I don't want to say the whole thing because in the recording of this on YouTube, it's gonna show me saying it. It's gonna sound pretty funny, so I'm not gonna say it. But welcome, Finger, to the panel. Go ahead.
Hey, bud. No, I was just gonna say that what y'all are talking about is exactly right. And when you're in that mentality, you perpetuate more racism because when you come up on someone, you got a messed up look on your face. You're already triggered. You know what I mean? And it just makes the person feel more uncomfortable, and it makes for a bad environment. I try to, when I go out into an environment, no matter who's out there, I try to act like I don't give a shit what color they are. You know what I mean? And I get very good reception with that. You know what I mean? I have conversations with black people. I have conversations with white people. And when I say conversation, I mean really good conversation. You know what I mean? Not just, hey, how are you doing? I mean, actually get into, just the other day, I was in a place getting Christmas gifts. And a guy came up to me and he could see that I wasn't a threat because I had a smile on my face. I was being nice to people, and he walked right up to me and we sat and just had a conversation. And if people want to get rid of racism, it's never going to go away 100% because you got assholes everywhere. But at the main part is it change your demeanor and it'll change people around you demeanor, because negative attracts negative. It really does. When you go out with a negative view of the world, that perpetuates to other people, and it just makes more racism, and it ain't never going to go away like that. We gotta.
I think maybe it could be. And by the way, Finger, Blum said that's how it's supposed to be. Would make life so much easier too. But I think it's perhaps also it's promoted via social media and the mainstream media that racism is such a big thing, and it's like almost happening like everywhere around you. And then on top of that, like that other person said that he was taught that way since he was little, to be careful because of his skin color. So if you had that mixture, you're sort of already preconditioned to believe that it's such a huge threat. But to me, honestly, I've never experienced it. I've never experienced it. And if I experienced it, maybe like Jack said, I brushed it off completely.
Yeah. because life is
when you run
dangerous.
into a racist person, though, the best thing to do to them, and it puts them in their place,
Hug
is
them,
just
hug
fucking
them.
ignore them. Ignore them. Yeah,
No,
go
you hug
about
them.
your
You
day
hug
and just laugh at them and walk on. Because it's their problem, not yours. They're the ones sitting there all heated up and acting like a fool. So just
Burnt
walk
out.
off and laugh it up. You know what I mean? Who cares if they're racist? Let them be fucking racist. Who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not gonna, go there in my vehicle and be like, oh my god, this is so racist. Like,
I know.
I'm traumatized. Like, just move on. Who cares?
Use all your energy and
Right.
shit,
Now,
right?
if they're going in there using their racism to influence you losing a job or you not getting a job based on your credentials and stuff like that, now that's a different story. That's the racism
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
needs to
Like if it's
end.
affecting you financially or obviously your safety,
Right.
right? Physically.
And here's the thing about
Exactly.
America, though. America is set up for the owner operator, for you to create your
Yep.
own business. And that's why they get the
Yep.
most benefits in government, right? So if you
Yep.
are a person that decides that you want to go work for somebody, then you need to shut up and deal with that.
Yeah.
Literally. That's it. This country has always been set up for the motherfucker that comes in and opens up business. And you
Yeah.
know what I mean? That
You're right
employs
about that.
other people. And people have forgotten that shit. In terms of like the immigration crisis and shit, I don't think that anybody on the panel has anything with free and legal immigration. You know what I mean? I believe that what a lot of us are saying is this. Come get with us. Come with us the right way. Come with your clip, your bullet, so that you could help us defend this shit. All right?
Yeah.
That I mean, when it boils down to it, don't come in here eating somebody else's lunches and popping off somebody else's bullets. And and then when we got to fight, then you don't left the man that fucking helped you out. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Fucking without fucking ammo and shit. So come in with the ammo and shit. We want you, right? But come
Yep.
this way. Come this
That's
way.
right.
It makes us
Yep.
strong. It
Yep.
makes us stronger. You know what I mean? But
And that's what I've been
unfortunately,
saying, Jack. I keep saying it almost in all of my videos. I am pro immigration, just the right way. And then you have some liberals that come here and say, well, what about the immigrants from 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever years ago? You weren't complaining about that then. Yeah, because, even immigration 5, 6 years ago under Trump, right? If we're being more specific to that area, you didn't see the collapse of the shelter system in these major cities. What's happening today? You weren't looking at that, and also you didn't see a huge amount of migrants going on social media training other future prospect migrants to come and saying, hey, this is how you should take advantage of the system. Like I interviewed a migrant, I think last week, and she came here and her story was flip-flopping all around because she was trying to give the right answers. But when you go on her TikTok account, she's sharing how she's making money under the table while living at the shelter. And also she's talking about how the government is helping her and how Biden is allowing this to happen. And she's thankful to Biden, right? And then she's also sort of brushing off comments from the taxpayers, like she could care less. She also shared comments on her TikTok that she doesn't even want to live here. She's just here to make money for a couple of years and then go back. Yet her entry was as an asylum seeker. Papa Biden, freedom, exactly. She calls him Papa Biden, which means Father Biden for those that don't know. So you didn't see that sort of trendy movement within the migrant community back even 5 years ago. And that's what I think a lot of people don't understand of why that's angering so many taxpayer Americans today. I don't get it.
Another country's burden. I don't want another country's burden. I want somebody to
Yeah,
come out of
because
this
even
country
you
and
remember, right? I think it was like
stuff.
10, 15 years ago that wasn't Mexicans that were getting a lot of the bad rap when it comes to crossing the border. Right? It was like a lot of Mexicans usually coming through the border, but you didn't see Mexicans taking up a lot of shelters in New York City. You know what I mean?
No.
they
A
all
matter of
they
fact,
all get labeled as Mexicans. You know
a
what I mean?
matter of
That's
fact,
the sad part.
no, a matter
Well,
of
yeah,
fact,
true. That's true. At that time, they were all being labeled as Mexicans. But I think a huge number was probably like maybe Mexicans and Central Americans at that time, I believe. But I'm saying is that even those that crossed the border illegally, you didn't see them taking up shelters and taking a lot of public benefits even back then. Go ahead, you wanted to say something.
yeah, because
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was in the employment business at that particular time, and when I was recruiting, right? And I never had a Mexican, a South American, Central American, or even an Irishman that came here and lived on public assistance. Not one. And believe me, I went through thousands of them in the 11 years of doing it. Thousands. Never had, or Africans. They came here, they came to work. Every single one of them. They never lived on public assistance. As a matter of fact, they didn't even know about it. They didn't even care. I just
That's
want to
right.
go get a job. Okay.
And I welcome anybody into this country, but something nobody ever talks about is when you come over here the wrong way and you don't speak the language and you don't know the laws, people take advantage of you. You know,
Yes.
they get taken advantage of as far as like employers. They don't know their rights. They go in their employers, treat them like shit. Don't give them any overtime. I mean, they don't follow the labor laws for them. It's bullshit, man. If you come in the right way and you learn the language and you learn about the culture and about our government and about how the law works, you're not afraid. You know what your rights are, and you're just like every other American. See, we're taught our rights in school, so we know our rights when we go out in public. We know what we can do and what we can't do. They don't. So you can manipulate the hell out of the people coming over here if they don't have a clue. You know, and that's one thing the Democratic Party never brings up is they never
Exactly.
talk about those people, you know?
Exactly. And I've heard like several guys come in on some of these lives and explain that, you know what I mean, that they're okay with that. And it's just like, man, we're trying to defeat shit like slavery, wage labor, and
Hell
shit
yeah.
like that, right?
I'm
But now
totally
here's the
against that.
thing. Now, this is where y'all might disagree with me. I get where a man wants to put his family into a better position, so he's going to do that shit by any means necessary. So,
Yep.
per se, I'm not against the motherfucker that's running from where he's running from. I am against the motherfucker in our government that's allowing him to run here, right, and eat other people's lunches and shit like that. You know what I mean?
I agree.
That's what the
Yeah.
problem is. And like we're verging on a civil war when it really boils down to it and shit. A lot of people are taking that for granted. But it's just like, you know, for those of us that have conservative values, right? That whether your religion be Christian, whatever or it is and shit, we're just saying that, hey, let's settle down, right?
Yeah.
Let's make this shit work so we
And
can
just to
all
just to
fucking
prove that race holds no bounds as far as like racism and stuff and taking advantage of people and using people. This is a true story. I was at work. There's an immigrant guy and he don't speak any English, but we're cordial to each other. When I come to work, you know, I always say, "Hey man, what's up?" You know, and I say, "You making all the dinero?" is what I told him because I don't speak much Spanish, but I speak a little bit. I said, "You making all the money, man, all the dinero?" He said, "Nah, man, nah." I said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're always here." He told me he was making $2 an hour, $2 an hour, and he's making $2 an hour. And the guy that's brought him over here is giving him a place to stay, but he's staying in a 3-bedroom house with 10 people making $2 an hour.
Oh, we should
Now,
see how the Indians run it in
how is he ever
7-Eleven
going to
out
get
here.
ahead when a Pepsi Cola is $3? You know, a pack of cigarettes is $6. It's ridiculous. And guess who the guy is who's working him?
Where?
He's from Mexico,
Another guy,
and he's treating
right? And that's
he's
what I
treating
want.
his own
Yeah,
people that way. He's using
another
it as a
guy.
business. He don't give a
And
shit about the race thing.
here's the
He's just
kicker
using
about
them. He
that
don't
shit.
care who it is.
Let me drop
It's
that.
ridiculous.
Here's the kicker about that shit. Like people talk about fucking racism across fucking lines and shit. You are more than likely going to be attacked or hurt by somebody of your own fucking group based off of proximity and ability, right? These
Agreed.
cross-racial incidents are
Yep.
minuscule and compared to same racial incidents. But in terms of what you were
Right.
saying, 7-Eleven
Yep.
is a business out here in Los Angeles and other parts of the nation and shit. I've
Yep.
talked to fucking about 3 Indians that came out and told me that they are here. My thing was like, why are you always in this fucking 7-Eleven? You don't never get you know what I mean? You don't get an off day.
Yeah.
I can come in this motherfucker any time of night and you're in here. Right? What is
Yeah.
up with that? Right? Several of them have explained to me that I have to do this because what I'm paying off their indentured servants. Still a form of slavery. Right?
Yep.
So if they say something or fuck something off, they don't get their visa or their green card. They
Oh wow.
purposely don't ship them back out. It be our own people, man. No matter what fucking
Oh, without
corner
a
you come
doubt.
from,
Yeah,
that be getting
that's
you.
fucked up. And
That
and
be getting you.
it's because you feel more comfortable with your own people, and that comfort level goes either way. It goes for being bad to you or being good to you. You know, you feel more comfortable if you're a crook. You feel more comfortable fucking over like me if I was fucking over a white guy. It will be easier because I understand more. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's because I can never be a black guy. You know what I mean? I can never know the way the black people think as far as like in a group. You know what I mean? Just like they don't know exactly how all white people think. But you feel more comfortable fucking over your own people. I mean, if that makes any
Easier.
damn sense at all.
It's
But
easier because it's easier. It is
there you
easier.
go.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So here we got the federal
Yep.
government of the United States of America that lumps us all in as a people as a whole. Well, you're all Americans, right? So there's a certain level of trust that goes up in that shit, right? And with the current administration right now, they understand that because they are giving out benefits. But here's the other kicker, though. Here's the other kicker, right? A lot of the people that are running here are running from the same shit that we are talking against, right?
Yeah.
So whereas
Yep.
it's just like, you know, they're gonna become instant Democratic voters and shit like that. I've met 2 DACA recipients that were like, "Fuck that, I'm Republican." Right? What
That's true. That's very true.
So it's just like, what the fuck are they doing in the Fed and shit? Let's straighten the line out. Right? Because the people that are coming here are essentially the people that run here are running from the same shit that we in this life are fucking against. You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
So let's get it right.
Well, you know, it's even funnier because you can even go further than that. The migrants themselves are trying to run away from sanctuary cities because they don't like the policies there either. You know, even the migrants don't want sanctuary cities.
That's messed up.
You know, Freedom, welcome to the panel. A good friend here. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, I was just gonna say, just going back, I kind of was in the comments there for a minute, but I grew up in a predominantly Hispanic area in Florida, and watched a lot of Mexican immigration, had a lot of friends that were Mexican, and watched the families. But I can tell you that not a single family or people that I know, people to this day I've kept in touch with, everybody's got that we're here to work, we're here to make our lives better mentality. And that's what I was just segueing back
They
to.
are very hardworking, right, Freedom?
Yeah. We're seeing the polar opposite of that right now, where it's like,
why do you think that is, Freedom? Why back then, 5-10 years ago, you saw a lot of hardworking people, and now it's the opposite. Now it's like, what the hell is happening here? What's that switch?
Because they're Mexicans. They're not Mexicans.
I think it's the long con of selling everybody the dream of socialism, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of that going around now. They're trying to, everybody thinks they're entitled to certain things. Well, I was raised different. I was raised you're entitled for what you work for. That's what I was raised. And if you need government assistance, that's exactly what it is. It's assistance. It's not it's not something you want to live on. And everybody I've ever known that lived off of the government had a shitty existence. They're always waiting at that damn mailbox on the 3rd, hoping that check comes. And it's just, that's got to be a miserable fucking existence. And I don't know why people continue to go down that road. If you apply yourself, it don't matter where you work. That's the great thing about America. You can go to work at McDonald's. Everybody's going to say, hey, that's a shit job. But if you go to McDonald's and you apply yourself and you become a company man for McDonald's, there's no limit to as far as you can go, bro. You can be a regional manager and be laughing at everybody. Hey, y'all laughing at me because I got a McDonald's job, but look at me now.
Absolutely.
I'm driving a Mercedes and kicking back,
Do you know, I used to teach my kids a thing, and I used to tell them, look, the whole idea in life is to be consistent. Doesn't matter how much money you make, just be consistent. If you're consistent, you can live with consistency.
That's right.
Got it. Guys, can you please mute your mic? I'm hearing some feedback. We just want to speak one person at a time. That way we can have a clear discussion here. I want to welcome to the panel Tractor Gal. Hi, I see you, but I cannot hear you. Maybe you got to unmute or your microphone. I still can't hear you. Can you try again?
Now?
Okay, now it's much better. Welcome to the panel. Go ahead.
I just wanted to say hi to Smell My Finger.
You know, that's going to sound funny on the YouTube version of this because the YouTube audience is not going to be able to see the username.
Oh.
You crazy?
Yeah,
girl.
I have a
What you got
question. Smell my finger. What's up with that username? Smell my finger. Where did that come from?
I'm gonna mute and I'm gonna let Tractor Girl explain that to you.
Okay, go ahead.
She's the one that gave me that username, and I put it up there just to mess with her.
Oh, she's to blame for this. Oh,
She's to
okay.
blame for it. Yes, sir.
All right, go ahead.
So this goes way back, okay? Eddie and my sister are a couple. And I don't know, whenever we'd be on a group chat, I'd be like, hey, Eddie, smell my finger, just to be stupid, nothing serious. Just stupid stuff like that makes me laugh. Yeah. And I think it blew his mind. That's why I do it.
That's funny. Okay. So this was, you're saying you guys were together or?
No, he's with my sister.
No, that's basically my sister-in-law.
Oh, it's your sister-in-law. Got it.
Yeah. And it's a little more to the story than that. It's like Natasha doesn't know all the dynamics of politics, but she understands what's going on because if you got your eyes open, you can see, right? You can see when people talk, when they're lying and that kind of thing. She's got really good instinct with liars and that kind of thing. So when she'd be in like Facebook was where it started at. People would get on there and she'd post something about Trump, and of course the triggered would come on there and they would start just trying to tear her apart. And she would say, "Oh, just shut up and smell my finger," and it always just shut them right up, and they didn't know what to think. It caught them off guard. So that's why it kind of stuck around. She forgot to tell that part of the story, but yeah, it's just an inside joke, guys. But it's kind of
I may have to try that myself.
It's actually pretty fun.
It's kind of messing me up because when I go in lives and I request to come in, they think I'm a troll. So I have to get in the comments and say, "Hey,
I did too, man." I was like, I saw that request. I was like, "Smell my finger." I was like, "Should I?" Like everyone was having like a like in-depth, serious conversation about politics, and immigration, and then I was like, "Should I put this guy in? Smell my finger." I don't know.
No, he's a really good guy. He just used that. I thought it was funnier than hell when I seen that he had changed it to that. I'm like, no way.
New Jack in the comments said, "Bring up some opposition." I have, I accept everyone. Whoever sends a request, I bring them up. I really don't know who is opposing or for. So if anyone has a different view, you guys are welcome to come. Tractor Gal, since you're here, do you mind sharing your opinion on this situation here with immigration right now? When we were talking about how before we had other South Americans coming, but they were not abusing the system when it comes to welfare and all of these benefits like the ones that we have right now. What's your take on all of this?
Get a handle on it. It's out of control. It's not fair to us who are here.
Can you get closer to the microphone? You sound a little bit far away.
Hey, gentlemen, excuse me 1 second. I just want to say good night because I got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, man. But anyway, hey, Vega, thank you so much for having me on. Hey, Tractor Girl, nice talking to you. And my man, smell my finger, whatever. And of course,
I didn't get to talk to you tonight, man, but good to talk to you the little bit we did talk, and hope to see you in future lives, bro.
That's beautiful. Anyway, Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a
Merry
beautiful
Christmas
day.
to y'all, guys.
Merry Christmas. Who, by the way, I sent you a message. Let me know if you can reply to that message. Maybe you can send me some of those pictures from Cuba that you have.
Yeah, matter of fact, I'm gonna call him back so I can have him send them to me so I can send you the pictures.
Sounds good. I'll send you my email so you can send that to me.
Yeah, do that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. Appreciate
Have a good
it,
night.
man.
Merry Christmas.
Good night, man. Merry Christmas. Peace.
Okay, go ahead, Tractor Gal. You can continue.
That's okay. So I think it's out of control and we need to get a handle on it. And I don't think any of that's going to happen until we get a change in the presidency seat. Because obviously nobody cares.
Do you think this is being done on purpose or they're just completely...
Yes.
Yeah, on purpose.
I do think so, yes.
Why what's the agenda, you think, here?
Well,
Can I answer that?
obviously somebody hates America.
This is a question for everyone. We'll go one by one. Go ahead, Truck to Gal. What's the agenda here, you think?
Well, obviously, the libs or whatever you want to call them hate America, in my opinion. It's supposed to be help us first before you can help anybody else. And here we're letting anyone in without documentation, and it's not right.
Okay, Freedom, do you want to respond to that? If you think it's an agenda, what's the agenda? Freedom, you got to mute.
Hold on real quick. I'll be right back. Sorry, guys.
Okay, no problem. Okay, Finger, go ahead. What's the agenda, you think?
Well, it started back when we used to call them illegals because that's what they are. They're here illegally. They're illegals. And the liberals and the Democrats are the ones that had to throw the undocumented thing because they can't handle anything as far as like the truth. So they're the ones that came up with the undocumented. They're the ones that think that, we're just assholes. They think with their heart and not with their head. That's the biggest problem with Democrats in the Democratic Party. They're about their heart. So their heart's in the right place, but they don't think it through. That's just like I can look out there in the street and see a vagrant and say, okay, let me go, it feels good. Let me go bring him in my house and, and let him stay at my house. And the next thing I know, half my shit's missing and he's gone. You know what I mean? And, everybody that's homeless is not homeless just because no reason. A lot of people are homeless because of their choices in life. I've been really close to homelessness myself, so I know from personal experience how easy it is to become homeless. But when you quit and you give up, that's where you're going to end up. When you get addicted to drugs, that's where you're going to end up. When you screw a bunch of people over and you rob and you steal people and all that stuff, that's where you're going to end up. So a lot of people are there because they put themselves there. And that's the hard thing about the charity thing. You really got to look at who you're giving the money to. If you want to help a homeless person, like all these stupid videos that people make where they're out there making themselves feel good by giving them $5 or whatever, look, dude, find a family guy. Find somebody that's out there trying to make it and go help them. Go look at a guy living where he's almost getting ready to lose his house or whatever. That's the guy you need to help because he's still trying. He's fighting to keep his stuff. My mom's always taught me, you help who's trying to help themselves. If they're not trying to help themselves, you're not helping them by helping them. You follow what I'm saying?
No, I hear you. And by the way, they're making more homeless at this point because a lot of these individuals will be future homeless people once the funds run out. But Finger, what do you think is their main agenda, or is it multiple? You think this administration here?
When you let that many people in without even giving a care, it's obvious they're trying to use them to vote in the cities that don't require ID and stuff. That's why we need a federal Supreme Court to stand up. If they're going to make me have a driver's license to drive a car, and they're going to make me have a driver's license to cash my paycheck, then you know what? The vote is the most sacred right you have in this country. It's your voice. Then you got to have an ID to have that right. And I mean, don't tell me I got to have a fishing license and I don't have to have a right, ID to vote. I mean, it's a stupid argument. And the Democrats' argument to the ID to vote thing is that, and they always go to the black people. And if I was black, I'd be pissed off about it because, it's basically telling you that you're too stupid to go get an ID. And that would piss me off because it's like, don't tell me I can't get an ID. Don't tell me I can't figure out how to get on the internet. And don't tell me I can't figure out how to get to the goddamn polling station that I belong to. I mean, I came from North Carolina to Texas. I don't know anything about the geography here, nothing. I made one phone call in 10 minutes and found out what district I was supposed to go vote at. So it's not like it's like you got to have a science degree to figure it out. You know what I mean? All you got to do is make a few phone calls. I mean,
okay, I want to give the word to Jack. Do you think this is done on purpose, and what's the agenda or agendas?
Absolutely. I'm going to say Nasara first, right? And then we get to Nasara later.
We're hearing some feedback. There's some echo, Jack. Can you double check your audio there?
How's sound now?
Much better.
Nasara Jasara, right? How do you control a people that has been raised on freedom, right? And then you think about Nasara Jasara, right? Like with some politicians come out and said about, eliminating, what I mean, the Fed tax base, right? Meaning giving us all the free and clear start, actual reparations for, the nation, right? Okay, we fucked y'all over. We're gonna give you a clear start. America first, kind of sound familiar, right? Let's fix that, right? But then you have to understand that in terms of Democrats, right? A lot of people think that they're this and that. Those are Dixiecrats. Those are still Southern Confederates, right? That played a certain role. But at the end of the day, it is done for this reason and this reason alone. We have men like you and me and the women on the panel that actually buy into the ideal of freedom, that actually buy into the ideal of, clipping off the head of the greedy person, and that threatens them. So what do we do in order to curb that? We bring in fighting age men from different nations, right? And we use them as what? Kind of like the Hunger Games, Capitol Police, right? You ain't got much, but you ain't gonna have as less as those people out there in the districts, right? So I'm gonna give you this house over here on that part right there, all right? So long as you protect them motherfuckers from you, protect me from them motherfuckers, or you protect them motherfuckers from me. You know what I'm saying? So essentially, what a lot of what's happening is they're building their own private army, literally right in front of our faces. When you look at it, you see fighting age men. You know what I mean? So my advice to y'all, and then I'm gonna drop, and then I'm gonna land, and I'm gonna drop. My advice to y'all is this, and it might sound kind of corny and shit, but you go read the Hunger Games series, and then you look at the movie, right? And then you put the one and one together, you kind of come to an idea of what's being played out, right? It's basically to stop us. You know what I mean? Donald Trump came in here and he backed us up. Right against who? He ain't perfect, but he was like, fuck that. At the end of the day, if the shit's gonna collapse, I'm fucking running with the people. Right? Now, who has to be afraid of that? Them motherfuckers that are up in the fucking Capitol. Right? The Hunger Games shit, right?
Republican, you're exactly right, bro.
You know what I'm saying, man? It's right in
Yep.
front of our face.
No, I
Establishment.
see the parallels, man. Yeah, and if you watch
It's
that series
there.
at
It's
all,
there.
that's
Look what
spot
Barack and
on, dude.
Michelle just came out. Look what those motherfuckers. They're like Civil War movie, right? You know what I'm saying? So this is
Yeah, I was watching that pattern. Very interesting, right? With the Leave the World Behind, and then there's another one similar to that coming.
talking that shit, and who's Hollywood run by? Those fucking
Total
political
propaganda.
fucks, right? So at the end of the day, brothers and sisters, this is what I'm saying. Build your weapons, right? Stock your ammo, okay? Get your
Let's just use Pew. Let's just protect the lives. Let's use Pew.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, but y'all know what I'm talking about, right? It is time. It is time. It's time, okay?
Yep.
When the shit hits the fan, right? Y'all know how it goes, man. I gotta look out for mine. I gotta look out for those that's looking for each other. If you short, we might be able to get you. But you've been watching this shit. Come on, man. It's time to do it. Don't
You're right, bro.
Don't be
You're
scared.
100%.
Y'all know where we're going. I love
Yep.
y'all, man. I got to drop, man. Y'all have a good night, all right?
Thank you, Jack, for joining.
Enjoy the night, dude.
Thank you, Jack. I want to read little parts of this article here because it was brought up in the comment section and also here in some of the guests. This is per verifythis.com. And I'm going to read a couple of sections here of this article. Undocumented immigrants are allowed to vote in local elections in some municipalities. Undocumented immigrants and other non-citizens can't vote for federal or state offices, but they can vote for local offices in more than a dozen municipalities. Okay, so the question is, are undocumented immigrants allowed to vote in some local elections? The answer is yes, it's true. Yes. More than a dozen municipalities allow undocumented immigrants to vote in some or all elections. Federal law does not prohibit non-citizens, including those who are undocumented and not authorized to legally live or work in the U.S., from voting in local or state elections. While no states grant undocumented immigrants the right to vote in state elections, more than a dozen municipalities nationwide allow undocumented immigrants to vote in local elections. And let me just continue here to this part here that I was reading. Okay. Verify. This is the website. Verify confirmed that the language of 13 of these municipalities' laws includes undocumented immigrants among the non-citizens allowed to vote. The other 4 allow some non-citizens to vote, but not undocumented immigrants. These municipalities include San Francisco and Oakland in California, Washington, D.C., and 10 communities in Maryland. All 10 of the Maryland communities are within the 2 counties that directly border Washington, D.C. Some of these municipalities, such as San Francisco and Oakland, only allow their undocumented residents and other non-citizens to vote in local school board elections, and only if they are parents of children attending the local school district. Others, such as Washington, D.C., allow non-citizens to vote for offices such as mayor and council member, as well as on referendums. What do you guys think about that?
Man, that's
Well, I can
exactly
tell
what I
you
was
right
going to bring
now
up.
that your local. Oh, I'm sorry, Freedom. Go ahead, buddy. You were first.
I'll be quick, and then I got to drop too, but I'll be in the comments again. Yeah, no, I didn't even know that this was a reality until a few months ago. I got a call from a guy that was running for city council in Rockville, Maryland. I eventually declined because I looked at what his platform was, and I was like, man, I can't morally and sleep at night with what you're sitting on, kind of things. But 3 things were on their city council vote for this term, and I didn't follow up yet, but I'm going to do this after later tonight. And this is one of the cities. Rockville, Maryland's pretty close to DC. First one was something to do with sidewalks, which I don't have any idea of whether that's right or wrong. The other one was allowing 16-year-olds to vote, which I'm like, that just
Nope.
blew my freaking mind
Nope.
already. I'm like, that's the weirdest thing ever. The third one was undocumented citizens, the rights to vote in local municipality elections and school board meetings and everything else.
And people don't realize that those small elections are the ones that affect you the most. That's where, when federal people give the funds out, those are the people that's going to be tell them where the funds need to go to. I mean, everybody's worried about the presidential election and everything, and it does have an impact on the whole country. But where you live and what's going on where you live, those are the important elections, and people need to pay more attention to those. And
Yeah, because it's like you said, right? So Biden right now is letting them in, right? But they go to the sanctuary cities. Why? Because they're allowed to be there. Who runs the sanctuary cities? The same party. But likewise, in those within that section of the country, you got certain laws that they implement at the local level to continue allowing things like this where non-citizens can vote, right? And then so that can start to spread within the community, and then they can eventually get another community, another municipality, or another state to join that agenda. Well, what I'm thinking is that perhaps also their goal would be the federal at the end of the day, like in the long run, by capturing little by little these small sections of the country.
Exactly. Once you take all the lower level stuff, that's how you get to the higher level stuff. That's how you get your votes up to the higher districts and Senate and Congress, the local, your local Senate, your local Congress, and then it goes up to the U.S. Congress. And that's where you get these crazy people in there like Cortez and what's the other one? The Muslim girl that's been caught
Omar.
Saying hateful shit already, and she's still there. I mean, it's that's how they get there. That's how those people get there. So
because they create case studies out of it, because then they say, oh,
now, see, if
look,
that
this
woman, if
city
that
right
lady
here
was
did
a
this, and
was
we
a
were able to help so much. We were able to help these people so much, and here's the statistics on how we were able to make the needle go up in this area, and the whole thing could be crazy. I mean, literally, the argument could be we're unaliving other people, and here's the statistics where we made it okay, and now it's okay, and here's why, and it's the same kind of crazy argument. They
Well,
can
and
say
this is
something
where
insane and
conspiracy
spin it.
theories, as I always say, they tend to be right on a lot of these things. Because before they were like, oh no, they're going to turn them into voters. They'd be like, that's illegal. They can't vote. And boom, there you find some municipalities that are passing laws like this where they can vote. And so you're like, wait a minute, I thought that was impossible.
And like
But now,
if that lady when she came to the Congress, if she had been real about it and said, you know what, I come from Iran, and I got away from there because they hate women. You know, they women are second class citizens. They want us to kill all Westerners, and I decided I wanted to be
unalive.
American. And she flies an American flag. You know what I mean? I'm all for her. You know what I mean? But don't bring that craziness over here and expect everybody to just suck it up, and then everybody that don't buy it is Islamophobic. You know what I mean? Because I'm not Islamophobic, but I can read, and what I've read about the Quran and the fact that there are 1.2 billion Muslims in the world, and there's 300 million plus that are radicalized, and then there's 78% of all of them agree with the radicals. Then I think that's, you know, I have a perfect reason to say, no, I don't agree with that. You know what I mean? And it's just like logic goes out the window with people these days. And that's what kills me. It's like, you know, I'm just trying to be logical and you're calling me racist. You know what I mean? I mean, or, you know, Islamophobic or whatever. You know, it's just logic and common sense need to make a comeback in this country, bro. I'm telling you.
I just don't
It's
understand.
crazy.
I don't understand on that point though. What is so racist about? Okay, so one of the things I could say, well, why is it wrong, right? Well, how long have these people been in that community to earn the right to even speak up? I mean, if you're, you know, most of the time, you know, people can go and you get established in a community, and then you start learning about what's going on and figuring out if you want
I
to be an
think freedom is
activist.
because they are attaching to it the children.
Freedom of
Remember that
religion.
some of them come here, they're already pregnant, or they get pregnant during the time that they're here, or at the beginning of their time here. And so because they have American children, right? And
I got
then
first fleet here with some boxes. Where do you want them to go?
hold on, let me mute track. We're here in the conversation with her. Okay, I muted her. Yeah, so I think it's because and that was mentioned there that even some that have no documents can vote if their kids attend the school. So it's sort of that they're making that connection, like, well, their kids are here, they're Americans, so they should be given that voice. I think that's what they're going with that too.
Yeah. And they're playing our freedom of religion against us. You know what I mean? They're using that. So the Democrats are like, look, we got freedom of religion in this country. And you do have freedom of religion in this country.
Yeah, but
when
by
your
the way,
religion-
you know,
when your
you
religion
can't say Merry
hurts
Christmas
other
anymore
people, yeah.
because
I mean,
people are going to
that's
get
crazy.
offended. Like,
Merry
what?
Christmas. Yeah, I'm
Don't
just
come
Yeah,
here
people
if
say
you're
like,
Merry
what do you
Christmas.
mean? So
Hey,
Merry
don't
Christmas,
come,
it's
you know?
wrong? If I don't
Exactly.
believe in Christmas, I'd be like, oh, I mean, I don't believe in it, but Merry Christmas. Like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly.
But now it's like a big deal.
Yeah. It's craziness. And look, we didn't write the Koran. Okay, we didn't write the Koran. We didn't make that, the ideology. We had nothing to do with that. So you've got to look in the book that they're worshiping and say, okay, this is what they believe, you know. And you're going to have ones that you can go in these Muslims' lives and they'll lie to you all day long, but they believe what's in that book. And they might be moderate and they might not be causing trouble, but they're agreeing with the ones that are, you know.
I specifically don't know what's in that book, so I can't speak on that. I've heard, but I you know, I don't.
What's really,
But
really interesting is that the Muslim community has actually been stepping up and speaking out, and they hold far more conservative views. And
Yeah.
they're actually stepping up and saying, "Whoa, wait a minute, we don't want these books in schools." You know, that's kind of
it's ironic because yes, freedom. I saw that too the other day, where I think somebody, a liberal, you know, it was a liberal, and they were sort of protesting. I'm not sure if it was because of the Israeli conflict, or it was something related to that. And there was a group of Muslims there that were sharing the same message, but then they got into an argument because the liberal that was protesting, I think he had like a skirt on or something, he was LGBT. And, like you said, it's ironic, but it seems that the Muslim community has this sort of conservative point of view, which is ironic because you have LGBT, leftist people that are supporting those points of views that they have, and then this conflicting, like it's not matching.
Yeah.
And so they got into an argument there because it was about that, like, yeah, no, those books shouldn't be allowed, like you said, and they got into an argument, and it was just funny to watch the whole thing.
Yeah, they eat their own quite a bit.
Which is why we're seeing in the mainstream the whole Israel Hamas thing is like at the top of the the talks, and it's like it's almost like it's trying to create the division all over again because they're getting scared because, oh wait, these people are finding things in common. What do we do? I know I'm going like total conspiracy theory on that, but I mean it still feels like, I mean, everything we see on television, and I've worked in the entertainment industry for 20 years, everything is there in program. It's called television programming for a reason. It's paid.
Right.
It's there. Every
So
second
Freedom,
is
what's your
accounted for.
take on this? Leave the world behind, and then now we're getting trailers of the Civil War movie. That's sort of like a sequel to Leave the World Behind. What's your take on that stuff?
I did watch the trailers for both. I do plan on watching both of them. I'm sure I'm going to feel like it's propaganda from others that I've spoke with that I trust as well. But again, that's what the media does. That's what it's going to sound really lunatic, but that's what your Disney, your Netflix, your Hulu, your distribution, anything you can go to that's in the mainstream, that's why there is a level of censorship, and that's why we're seeing what we see, and we see the narratives reflected in the arts so much. And then whenever you have other films that come out like The Sound of Freedom or other things, there's backlash on it. Like that, I don't know, like on that
But do you
story.
think that's them sort of signaling what could happen, or you think it's total BS, or what?
I
Just
think there's
because
always
we've seen some
truth.
films in the past that look ridiculous, and then boom, it happens. Like,
Well,
you
yeah,
know how we had several movies and stuff that suggested what happened in 9/11.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Or look at George Orwell's 1984. Look at just look at a lot of film that came out, or even look at just Star Trek and stuff that they were doing in the 50s and 60s and 70s, and then it's like science fiction's now science reality. So
So
some
do you
stuff.
think that this Leave the World Behind, by the way, I watched Leave the World Behind. Do you think that it's like a sign that could come at some point down the line?
I think so. I think so. I think some stuff is put out there deliberately, and I think some stuff is put in our face to make people feel certain emotions and think a certain way too. I wouldn't say 100% that it's going to follow that. Like, would we ever see the Hunger Games? 100% no, but it usually has some sort of reflection of what's going on in society and what could be a reality too.
So you said you haven't seen Leave the World Behind yet, right, Freedom?
That's right. I watched the trailer for it, but I haven't watched it yet. But I will
Okay,
watch it.
let me know when you watch it. I don't want to, because I kind of want to discuss a little bit of what that movie showed. I don't want to spoil it here for you. So let me know when you watch it.
Appreciate that.
Now, the take I got on it, and I'm not going to spoil it or nothing, but a take I got on it is kind of like a cyber attack, and that's the kind of the take I got on it, just because of like the GPS stuff is screwing up and that kind of thing. But I'm not sure. I'm gonna be honest with you. I fell asleep in the last 30 minutes of it, so I missed the very end. So I got to go back and
Yeah, I
watch
think
it.
so.
And then,
My
I can.
take on it was the misinformation part of it. And again, I'm not gonna spoil it for Freedom, but
right.
if you can rewatch it and rewatch the whole thing, or Freedom, if you can watch it, let me know. Is the misinformation part of it was really interesting. That message that I got from the movie,
What
very
about the
interesting.
deer?
The
I mean,
the
not
plot that
to
I'm
give anything away, but what about the deer? What was going on there? But I mean, just we'll leave it there until he has time to watch it. I don't
yeah,
want to give any away, but the deer
I'll
kind of was like,
definitely
"What the
watch it.
hell's going on, man?"
But I will say that this is something I was working on. This documentary will be releasing next year, but like I was in New York about back in October, and it was for cryptocurrency. Has nothing to do with this stuff. But one of the questions that I was asking people on the street was, hey, what would happen if our dollar crashes or the internet just goes away for 30 straight days? What do you think would happen? What do you think would happen? Oh,
People would
well,
panic.
I mean, that's the thing, but it's so, I, I work in tech a lot, and I can tell you how fragile and frail that our system is right now. I mean, we've seen it with different hacks with the pipelines and stuff like that happening, but it is so fragile, and we really take that for granted. It is so
Yeah.
easy for the system to just really, most of the time, it's isolated, or system, the system goes down in certain regions, or certain systems are going down. But for the internet to be disconnected from us, just like we're doing right now, and having this communication, it's very, very, very fragile, and people do not realize how frail it actually is. And
Right.
things like that, as
And see,
fantastic as it sounds, could be a reality.
I was raised before the internet, so like, I'm gonna get a map out if my GPS don't work. I'm gonna be fine. You know what I mean? I'll get the map out and I'll figure out where I'm going and how to get there. But imagine there's people out there now that's never seen a map. They don't know how to use a map. They don't have a clue. Hell, half the people coming out of school
I've
now don't
seen
even
it,
know
brother. I've
exactly.
seen it, but I'll be honest, I have no idea how to use it. Look,
Well, I'll have to bring a map
I'll
on
be the
live
first one to go
location so
down.
you
I'm
can
telling you the
know.
truth. I'll be the first. I drive a Tesla, number one, right?
Yeah,
It's all GPS, right? And then
yeah.
my house is rigged with Alexa, right?
Hmm.
I don't want to say it too loud. So like I'll be the first one to go down. I'll admit it. And we're guilty of this because we rely so much on technology,
Yeah,
and
exactly. So
but how do you, how
it
can
does
you not
happen.
rely on technology nowadays?
Yeah,
I work
you
so
can't.
close to these machines too. I don't trust them. I'm just telling you. That's why it's so easy
Yeah,
that one space, one character in a server can make it just not function properly, or do weird
yeah,
stuff, or you got to power cycle this. I mean, we all see it. Like, everybody's learned, like, okay, when in doubt, you just power cycle it, unplug it, plug it back in. It's going to come back to life and clear it out. Well,
yeah.
that that's system wide, that's network wide, and people don't think about that every day. And I am scared for that. I use technology a lot. It's how I operate every day, but it's also like, man, what's going to
I,
happen if something like that happens?
Hey guys, I don't want to go too far off the topic and down the deep end, but you know how when we look back in history, like human history, they're saying we've only been around like 26,000 years or something like that, and then later on they find out more evidence to where we're even older than that, and then they find weird technologies that date back like 100,000 years, batteries and stuff like that. See, I think what the deal is, man, is I think that we have lived this before. And when I say that, this is crazy. I know y'all going to think I'm a nut, but I think that each generation gets smarter and we get to a certain point each time. And then civilization destroys itself and we go back to the Stone Age. Because think about it, if 10 years, 20 years from now, nobody's going to know how to do anything. It's going to all be, technology. So when technology's gone, everybody's going to be back into the Stone Age. They're not, without Google, nobody's going to know anything, and it's like, that when you go back that far and society crashes, I think it comes back stronger and stronger each time. You know what I mean? So we're getting further and further each time, but we get knocked back, by something. So, and I know y'all probably think I'm a nut for saying that, but I'm just telling you, I got a real big suspicion. This world's been here for 4.6 billion years. That's a long time when you're talking about a little slice of 26,000 years. And I think human beings been around a lot longer than that, and I think we've been through a lot more because there's a big range that we don't know anything about. Like, we know about dinosaurs and all that, but dinosaurs hadn't been around for a million years, you know. So I mean, who's to say what happened in that big gap we don't know about? You know what I mean? So I don't know.
I
The
hear you.
pyramids, they still don't know where they came from.
So
How
could
they were
hold
built.
on, hold on real quick, just to bring it back to the topic of the live, right? So,
I told you.
no. Here's how I'll tie it in with with a wild conspiracy theory, right? So, are they driving people in from South America because they're used to having to do a lot more farming and all that because they know they're about to pull the plug on the internet?
That's possible. That's possible. Yeah. You're in the technology field. You got an advantage over us because I mean I don't know. I don't know what
Well,
Vega
the question
knows,
is, have
but
you ever had a problem with technology? I mean,
every
everybody
day.
has.
I see where you're going with this, Freedom.
Yeah,
Are you talking
every
about?
day.
Are you referring that they're going to use the migrants as a workforce for food?
Very well, very possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like I
Yeah.
said. I'm going way out in left field with that. I'm
No,
not
yeah,
saying I
it's a
believe that.
conspiracy. I know that it's,
Yeah,
but I'm just sort of trying to get where you're going with that.
yeah, yeah.
Christine
The
said 65 million years. She's right, 65 million years. So there's a big ass gap between any kind of written history. So it's there's no telling how old civilization really is.
And it's conspiracy theories. I'm telling you, they're fun to talk about for sure. Tractor Gal, quick question for you. I see that you're at work. How much do you rely on technology where you are right now? So if it was to, like, if the internet was to shut down or something like we're talking about right now, how would your job be affected?
Well, I wouldn't be able to do my daily log, but I'd sure still be able to log the trucks in, so I just wouldn't be able to use my phone, which part of me doesn't give a rat's ass.
Got it. So you can still do your regular job. It's not that connected to the internet. Your job itself.
No, it's not that connected to the internet, and I don't know. I hate to think that we're all reliant on internet solely because I don't think that's a very good thing.
I agree. It's not. But go ahead,
When y'all
Freedom.
got good people
well, I
like
was,
y'all
but
guys.
they're pushing us to cashless society though. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just more and more and more and more.
A
We can like,
100%.
Yeah.
Freedom. I
That's
have
really scary
cash in my
though.
wallet. I think from
That's
like maybe a year
oh
ago
man.
that is just there. I don't even use. I can't remember the
Yeah.
last time I went to the bank.
Yeah.
Everything
yeah,
is just,
you
And
scan, yeah, you
think
yeah,
scan
you
and
scan
go.
it and
when
that's
it
it.
collapses, they don't know who had what. You know what I mean? And then everybody's screwed. And just think about all the public record. They're getting rid of books in schools. They're going to all computers and all that stuff. So if we keep on the same path we're going, no paper records, there will be nothing left when technology crashes. You know what I mean? There would be nothing there to find because it's all locked into technology. So
Everyone will
I
be an
mean,
undocumented citizen at that point.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'd be on a level playing field for sure. But
Yeah, and for
this
sure
stuff, I tell you what,
we're
if
blamed
that
to the
happens,
we're blamed for this because like I said, we just get used to it. It's easier, than
yeah,
paying in cash and counting, the cents or how
yeah,
many dollars. You just scan it and that's it, and move along.
yeah, move on.
So
Well,
we're to
if it
blame for it as
crashes,
well.
guys, I want y'all welcome to come down here to Texas where I'm at. I was raised in the '70s, so I know how to hunt. I know how to fish. I know how to build. I'm a
Which area can you
carpenter, so
share?
I can build us a house out of crap.
Which part of
So
Texas?
I'm in San Angelo.
San
Oh,
Angelo. Okay.
he's out there,
Yeah,
man. I've been to San Angelo
yeah,
before.
yeah.
It's
It's
Is
out in
that
the
like
middle of
like
nowhere.
really far from the capital?
No, it's
4 or
not. It's
5
not too
hours, I
far.
think.
Maybe 4 hours. Yeah, four and a
Yeah.
half hours, something like that. Yeah. But
So
but it's desolate, man. I mean, it's 50 miles to the nearest town in every direction. So it's like,
smell my finger. I'm
uh,
gonna I'm gonna DM you. Just get your address for safety, and I'm gonna head over there if something happens.
definitely, Bo. And hey, check it out. My boss man, he's like a super hunter. So he's got like, man, you wouldn't believe the arsenal this guy has. He's got 50 calibers. He's got, you name it, he's got it. And so if the shit hits the fan, that's where I'm going. I'm going to my boss man's house. And he's a good guy too,
He's
man.
also in your area as well.
Yes, he's in San Angelo. Yep.
Oh,
So
finger. I'm gonna be in
yeah,
touch, man. I'm gonna be in touch. I'm in Nevada, so
cause
I'm kind of
yeah,
close to you.
because if you got you can have 1,000 guns, but you only got two trigger fingers. I mean, pew pew fingers. So uh, it always helped to have other people around when the shit hits the fan. You know what I'm saying? So he's armed up to the T. He's got more ammo than he can shoot in a year or two. So he's ready to go, and he listens to the news better than I do, and he listens to everything. I mean, he follows everything, the stock market, I mean, he's a really smart guy. And everybody wants to demonize the rich. But I can tell you right now, my boss man, he's very rich. But at the same time, he's a very giving guy. And I've never had a poor person hire me to do anything. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people forget. They want to demonize the rich, but the rich is what carries this country for the most part. And I think they deserve our respect, because I can't accomplish what he's accomplished. You know what I mean? I would love to, but I didn't have the drive that he had. You know what I mean? So why should I feel bad about him having money? He worked really hard for that money. You know what I mean? He started off poor just like me. So, I mean, the demonizing the rich thing, you have to put a face on everything. Now, if you inherited your money and you go out there and you're an asshole to people and you don't give to charity and you try to, Scrooge everybody where you try to take everybody's money and stuff, yeah, that's a rich person that you should not like. But you don't blame everybody for that. You don't say, hey, the damn rich people, because you know what? At the end of the day, I wouldn't be where I'm at if he didn't get where he was at. You know what I'm saying? So, you got to look at people for what they are, and the value, you got to put value on people that go over and beyond in life and excel. We should be happy for those people, and we should look up to those people. We shouldn't demonize them.
No, I agree. I want to sort of touch base on this topic again, maybe focus on a live doing this. I really want to talk about that movie, Leave the World Behind, because it goes hand in hand with us relying on technology. And, whether we believe in conspiracy theories or not, I don't think it's that relevant, because I do think about how we can be attacked next as a country. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm more like. That's what I'm more focusing on instead of the movie itself. Yeah, the movie, like Freedom said, could be propaganda or all that stuff, but the message of vulnerability, that's where I sort of want to focus on. And misinformation, because like Freedom said, if the internet dies for 30 days, how do we communicate?
Right.
How do we know what's happening in the world?
We have a big problem. Yeah, we have a big problem.
How do we get our let's say those that get wire transfers or direct deposits? Like, how does that work at that point?
Old school, brother. We'd have to go back old school.
So yeah, so that's yeah.
We're Wi-Fi everywhere, so we're screwed.
Yeah, so I'm gonna see if I can do an episode on that next week or maybe the following. I gotta check because I have the topics already pre-selected for the next, I believe, 7 episodes. So we'll see. But yeah, guys, I do have to go. So I want to thank a Finger here and Tractor Gal for joining, and Freedom and everyone that joined before. I do appreciate you guys joining tonight. Tomorrow's going to be very interesting. Tomorrow I'm supposed to have a socialist as a special guest.
Nice.
Her name is Christina. She is very vocal about her political views. She believes that 99% of the migrants coming in are good people and that there's nothing to worry about. She believes that we have enough money to house them all and to give them proper, food and health care. And so she thinks that we are in the wrong for being concerned about the border crisis. And she believes that, again, like Finger said, rich people are bad people in essence. So she's scheduled to be the special guest for tomorrow. Will she show up? I don't know. I had a socialist scheduled yesterday and he didn't show up. So, sometimes when you tell them to come here and let's talk about it, they run away. So she's scheduled. I will be on tomorrow after 6:30 p.m., a little bit later than usual. 6:30 p.m. Pacific, that would be 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So between 6:30 to 7 Pacific / 9:30 to 10 p.m. Eastern, it will be talking to a socialist. I do have a friend though, Cynthia. She's Mexican American. In the case that the socialist girl doesn't show up, then the topic will be Mexicans for Trump. And Cynthia's going to talk about, her political views as a Mexican American and why she supports President Trump. So that being said, thank you, Tractor Gal, again.
And one
And
last thing before you go, I just
yeah,
want to say
I'll
one
give you
thing
the word,
before you
guys. You can share whatever
go.
you
Okay.
want as a closing statement. Go ahead, Finger.
Just wanted to say when you get ready to do the live about the movie, I want to come back in. I'm going to try to watch it again and not fall asleep this time. But you're going to have to fill me in on what's going on with the deer because that one really throwed me out. I mean, the animals were, you know, so I didn't figure out what that part was. Maybe I fell asleep during that part, but yeah, I'm going to watch it again. And so when you do the live on that, I'll try to pop in and catch you.
Okay, how about this? I'm gonna reach out to Freedom. I'll make him the special guest for that one because he mentioned that he has some experience in the entertainment industry. So I'll make Freedom the special guest, but let's first let him watch it, and then Finger, message me when you watch the movie completely.
Okay.
Right? Let me know. Let me know when you say, "Hey, I watched it. I'm ready," and then I'll schedule it after I talk to
I'm
both of you
watching it.
guys.
I'll watch it tomorrow morning because I'm off work and my girl has to work. So
No rush.
I
No
got some
rush.
time to waste. Yeah.
No rush. Whenever you have
So
time, just
yeah,
let
I
me know.
look
Hey,
forward
I
to that.
watched it, and then I'm going to work on scheduling it.
Yep. Well, hey man, you
Tractor
have a good
Gal,
night, brother.
have a good night. Tractor Gal, go ahead. Do you have anything to share as a closing statement here in regards to immigration or anything that you want to share? You sure? Not Biden 2024? Not Kamala? Hell no, right? I agree. I agree. The silent majority has spoken, guys. Trump 2024, 100%. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.